Alright, let's go ahead and get started here. Yes. Where were we? I honestly have no idea. Let me play some Scat Girl, why not? I know they hotfixed grenades out, but I think there's still the issue where, like... Hold on, let's try this. I think this is still the case, right? Where if we equip a gun to, a character, then switch characters, it still stays on. Which is a funny thing, but... A brief window where we can use the Scar Heavy on Scav Girl. Hey, Jamie. In-game shift. No, they removed it. No. Oh well. We haven't used Unsilence in a while either. Let's go for like a stock M16, or not stock M16. Unsilenced M16 is probably a better word. Do I have any 5.56? Ugh. Hey, Michael. Alright, 5.56. We'll bring like 5 beds, that's fine. Go ahead and top off too. Let's bring a few drills. I kind of... I mean, like, I'm good on parts. The gacha cases you get from the quests also give you parts, so when you open all of them, I'm good on parts. I guess I should get this started. The parts are not the issue. All right. Got this. What was I was gonna say something too. Oh, drills. I really hope we eventually... We'll do Cronin. But I would really like... So right now our 2 slots are both weapons. I would love, like, the ability, as opposed to a weapon, to have, like, an offhand utility item. And the case I'm mainly talking about here is like a drill, right? So as opposed to using like these drills, being able to maybe have a cheaper option or a reusable option like a hand drill, I would be into that real hard. To an extent, Jamie. I mean, like, we have like certain... Lordos helps out a lot, but like Lordos is also more of... Remember, Mongolia is like this weird middle ground between Eurasia and Eruska. It kind of falls under both. Yeah, but like, I want... Here's the thing. I don't really care about offhand guns. I want like offhand utility items. I want like hand drills or like just other cool features sets and other weapons, right? Utility weapons. It will load. It takes a little bit of time, Michael. It doesn't immediately pop up. If people are too quick to the chat, it takes a while. But it should load up eventually. Like, give it like 5 minutes, if not, I'll restart it. Dual wielding pistols is fine. It's something. All right, Bunko. Let's start with you. We need a grenade launcher for this, though. That's unfortunate. I need a grenade launcher. Let's actually do this. I need to get the quests done with the M79. I haven't got an M79 in forever. You can do the once you unlock Bunko. So Bunko goes like this. We need Eurasian, yeah. So I'll just do Ashen Mesa. So Bunko works like this. You need to be in a group lobby to unlock Bunko. Once you do that, there is only one quest along the entire line where you need a group, but you only actually need to bring 3 NPC companions with you. Not really yet. All it does is kind of provide a self-contained story of like, the only thing I will say lore-wise is that Bunko has his own crew apparently, and there's a bar, but we don't see any of that. There's not really much lore outside of that. I guess there's lore in the sense of, like, Eurasia has advanced parts and like power fabs and shit like that that we don't have access to like they do, or rather that we can just like. So during the story or during the narrative of this quest line, there's a spot where Bunko talks to Kane being the Eurasian guy, and like he's able to procure parts right off the factory line apparently. At least it seems like that, right? So there's a degree of like, oh hey, like Eurasia actually has pretty good logistics. Let me up, I want that, no. Thanks, Survivor, appreciate it. I could do the crouch jump, but we'll just go around. I could try using the crouch jump, it doesn't always work. I'm surprised that hasn't been patched out yet. I will say though, oh god. I mean, I'm sure that already exists, Jamie. I would not be surprised if there were some very bold artists out there already. I will say though, on the note of the new quest, like the new quest line's really cool. There is some issues that need to be addressed though. So the new quest line is kind of falling into the same fallacy that Tarkov did. There's essentially an issue that pops up in extraction shooters because of how the game is designed. And the problem is run through. And for those unfamiliar, run through is an issue where essentially when you provide an objective, like saying surviving a raid, it just becomes a quest of running through the map as quickly as possible. And if your viewpoint is that's fine and like that's part of the game, sure. I would say in a game like this it feels kind of, I want things to immerse me in the game. I don't want things to make the game feel more like a game. I have Blood Panda. I got the very first stream of this game, or the patch, we got it. And we played it a few times since then. Yeah, the UI only allows you to put one in the rig. So it's not, like, so it goes on a large item slot, but there's an extra restriction where you can only put one in your rig. But I will say, overall, Bunko's quest line is really cool, but the issue at hand here is that the quests themselves, quite a few of them, kind of reinforce this notion of like running into a map, hitting E, then running out. It doesn't feel immersive. It feels like, oh, hey, I'm doing quest objective X, Y, or Z. Yeah, like the quests overall probably need to be more complex. Like, less of them, but more complex. As opposed to having, you know, 12 quests in this quest line to collect each part, perhaps group them into 2 or 3 parts that have, you know, different aspects at different locations on maps. Alright, let me restart Castro Labs real quick, because it's not popping up yet. Don't mind the T90. 1890. Who's a small little mini tank? Who's a small little mini tank? You're a small little mini tank. Yeah, there is a mod to actually go on no rig mode. I wouldn't mind, Cordo, seeing some extra rig types. So right now all we have is blocky rigs. I'd like to see perhaps like just actual backpacks here and there too. Yeah, the no rig mod is very popular. There we go. I mean, I can keep up this current cadence forever, Nem. I only play this game when I stream. Like, that's such an important distinction, right? Like, I purposely pace myself. The only time I'm doing stuff off stream in the game is when I'm getting recordings. So, like, and that's been my scenario since the game has come out. That's fine, Jamie. Like, there's no shame in, like, taking a break and coming back. It's like, yeah. Hey, Kalo. I like the rig structure, but it definitely does... You can kind of see it. I think both the new skin for Shaman and the new skin for Bagman both have visual clashes with rigs. I think that the art on both characters is really cool. I think the rigs look awful on them. Scav Girl is like the only one whose the aesthetic actually matches the structure of the rigs. Yeah, there needs to be more types of rigs overall and more types of backpacks. The rig structure is really cool. I like, yeah, more unique containers, a actual backpack, stuff like that. I think they've already talked about Survivor. I think that's like part, like they definitely have talked about NPCs or companions. Survivor being in raid and just being the kind of a third party doing their own thing. It's kind of hard too because the maps aren't really... It's easy to want something like that, but it's also hard with the current map size to actually facilitate something like that. The maps are just overall fairly small. And like that's fine, right? They have their limitations, but at the same time it does restrict how much you can actually put into a raid and have it make sense. Or rather not even have it, sorry, let me rephrase, not have it make sense, but actually work gameplay wise. Yeah, like, but all of this new skins are really cool. Like, I'm not a big fan of Shaman or Massman, or sorry, or Bagmans, but like the reason why is mainly because of it's not the skin's fault, it's the backpack's fault. They do not look good with the backpacks. So Nem, the reason why I don't play this game or play other games in the genre is because the other games in the genre feel like rat races. Like, remember, like I stream 3 to 4 hours a day, 3 times a week. That wouldn't do in other extraction shooters. Those games, just from necessity, I would gas myself out on. Because, like, to keep up, you kind of need to play them that way. I've been not that much, to be honest. Mainly, I've been playing a little bit of PoE too, but like that's about it. I would say overall, not all that much. I think if you deselect it, right, like you can you deselect it? I have no idea. Probably just die, game shift. Just go into a raid and die real quick. Hey, Duffs. We don't know Survivor. I kind of thought it was going to be in the March patch, and now it's in the patch later, and we don't see him yet. They keep... I know Little Papa's been doing... Not too much stuff, we just started a little bit earlier. I know Little Papa's been doing a little bit of diving into the game files, and he's seen a few more units coming into the game files, so we should be maybe seeing them soon. And, like... Well... I do like the idea behind new units on some level though too. Properly reworked current units will feel new. So that works also. But in regards to other extraction shooters too, yeah, I mean Rat Race applies still a lot, right? But like extraction shooters like Tarkov really reward playing a lot over a short period of time and then keeping it up. Like there is definitely a whole thing of staying ahead and keeping ahead. You don't have to play it that way, but you're heavily incentivized to play it that way. And I didn't and like Marathon, the cycle had its own issues. The Marathon's probably gonna have its own issues too. Overall, extraction shooters, I liked extraction shooters when they started out because they were novel at the time. I like them now mainly because of how they structure their content and how modular it is. Nice, Captain. Yeah, I'm sure you won't, like, hear anything in game and get confused. Now, on the note of other extraction shooters, I will say there is... Let's just go and get this over with. This will probably... I want to talk about this, but it's like, it's driving me mad. Why? I've talked about this on Discord a little bit. I made a post on it, or like not even before the stream started, basically like right before the stream started. I think it seems innocuous, but this is the first sign, I think, of something going wrong again. Thanks, Captain. Appreciate your viewership. I do not like the whole concept of seeing the timers. But I imagine you lose Railgun when you die, right? I think it's a one-time use. Like, oh god, we're gonna start here. I was gonna start here, but Ruins is 5 water right now. God. It's any point of time when the game still runs off your IRL clock, any point of time, it's wrong on so many levels. I could like probably rant endlessly about it. The first thing is, right, this game is supposed to be an offline extraction shooter, and like, it just feels like a mobile game mechanic, right? Like, oh hey, craft this and come back 3 to 5 hours later, but like, there's no other stakes in that 3 to 5 hours. There's not anything happening in that 3 to 5 hours. There's no cost to it, right? There's nothing like in game that's making the passage of time feel impactful. And if their point was like, well, that was supposed to be water, but you guys didn't like it. I mean, yeah, but you have to change your systems to accommodate that change. You just can't put the old systems in. And if you're upset about water having to be changed too, well, I'm sorry, an IRL timer plus just feels awful. It is. It's just there's a reason why no games go off your fucking computer's clock. Like, if you want to have it be IRL game time passage, that's fine. Like, I wouldn't like that solution either, but it's better than this. But like, there's no wait of time passing, so having this 3 to 5 hour wait period of crafting these parts just feels like artificial gaming limiting you. It just doesn't feel right. it just goes back to the whole thing of their marketing material feeling wrong to what they're doing in the game. And I will acquiesce or kind of concede the point of, we're not seeing the full picture. There might be more down the line, but if they're not willing to be forthcoming with that picture, I can only go off of what I see. It's just, stop using the IRL clock for things. I don't care of the solution. If you want to have it be in-game time, that's fine. If you want to have it be, like, in-game days, that's fine. Just stop using the IRL clock. Like, I'm naturally preferenced toward in-game days, but at the same time, I would take so much. Like, I would take anything else. Like, I'm just trying to rationalize too, like, what's the goal of having the IRL clock? What purpose, what design does it have? Yeah, and I don't, like, Game Shift, on your point though too, I don't really think they need to, like, my reasons why I'm not necessarily in love with an IRL clock either, or sorry, an in-game clock either, is because I don't want to feel the players feel rushed. Essentially, to understand my frame of reference, right, is my frame of reference is always going to be based around that this is supposed to be a more casual offline extraction shooter. And so the mechanics of the game should reinforce that. Hey, 47. Little tippy taps. Little tippy taps. It's like a little happy dog. And so, like, whenever I make a critique, that's generally how that's the area where I'm coming from, right? In regards to game mechanics, is that I view this as a casual PvE game. And when I see things that contradict or have issue with that, that's where I get kind of like, what the fuck? You can, like, Oni, like, if you, now, it creates some bugs here and there. You can kind of time gate yourself or lock yourself in a little bit here and there. But if you want to progress your IRL clock by days or weeks, or like, say for example, if you want to make the railgun right now, immediately, you can start crafting the part, go to your computer's clock, and advance by 3 hours, advance by 4 hours, advance by 5 hours, and craft the part, and then go back to regular clock. You don't have the part already. So it's entirely possible to do that right now. Yeah, and I don't even think it should be hours, right? Like, here's the biggest thing too, right? There needs to be some stake to the crafting. They're like, hold on. All right, hello XO. Don't hurt me. Yeah, that hurt. There needs to be some stake. Like, what's the point of a crafting time if there's no opportunity cost, if there's no weight to the time itself, right? In mobile games or live service games, right, it's a way of slowing down the progress of players for others to catch up. In a way, like, when you see a crafting time in Tarkov, it's to basically slow you down and artificially restrict you, along with providing an extra kind of resource cost to the item, right? So for Tarkov, when it's live service, basically, it's essentially live service. It's not literally live service, but essentially live service. In Tarkov, with a crafting bench, right, you might have 20 recipes there, and the cost to make items in Tarkov, in a way, is an opportunity one, right? Because players are progressing while you're crafting this item, and you have to choose what you're making, and they take a certain amount of time, right? So you crafting one item, in a way, is costing you the opportunity to pass to make something else, essentially, right? So let's say if you make BP bullets, you can't be making BS bullets at the same time. And in a way that, and because time's constantly progressing and people are getting better and getting more stuff in Tarkov, that's the opportunity costs of Tarkov. In a game like this, though, there's none of that. So the time limit on crafting things, it feels arbitrary and groundless. There's nothing to support the weight of it. Tech Priest, I have the Railgun. I just need 2 people. I'll probably get the, I'll probably do it on stream eventually, but I might do a community stream this Friday, I guess, instead. Usually community streams are every other Friday, but maybe we'll do Friday this too and get a Railgun going. I kind of want to get offline footage or like off-stream footage of the Railgun first and then do one online. So, for example, we don't immediately botch it. But yeah, we'll do another community stream this Friday, I guess, just because the Railgun supports it. There's already footage around, I think, of it being used, so I'm not in a rush, per se. I think Evangelist, I think, on Twitch did Railgun Ultra stuff already. But yeah, we'll do a community stream this Friday, and we'll do the Railgun then. Oh yeah, Michael, you do have to kind of loot all. I noticed that too, right? It will start flying away if you grab stuff from it. Yeah, so there's a lot of different solutions to the problem. Like, I'm not gonna. It's really easy to get caught up in, or it's really easy to get caught up in the fun of making up solutions to problems, but it's less about the solution. It's more about just highlighting the problem right now. I'm sure Fundog has plenty of creative designers that can come up with solutions to this, but it needs to be, I think it needs to be heavily understood that this is a problem in the first place. You know, Med. I mean, it's my favorite. I actually really like the skin for Scav Girl. I'm not too big on the other ones. Like, if we go over, let's go over to Bagman. Do I have the skin on? It's just, it's partially the color palette too, I will say. It just doesn't work with the rigs. Like, Scav Girl kind of works natively, her skin works with the rigs. Bagman's skin just doesn't really mesh that well with the skin, or the rig skin, right? It feels a bit visually clashing. Game shifts. On that note though, hey Diana, it definitely felt like we were dragging them kicking and screaming though. Like, it did not feel like a very easy process. It felt like they went through a whole, it felt like they were going through the whole cycle of grief. And they were dragging us along for the ride. Like, there was definitely periods of like anger and compromise until just fully accepting it that it's just bad. I'm not sure if we can do another 6 month process on this of half measures until they fully realize that it just needs to change. No, Michael, like, I have an issue with that too. It's more, I don't mind the fact that it takes time. I mind the fact that the time means nothing, so it's completely arbitrary outside of you just taking time to craft it. If there was a meaning or weight behind the time clock of crafting it, okay. But that can't really exist, I feel like, in the game currently. This is a little bit dangerous. I mean, we could definitely try. She is, I'm not even sure if she's blind. Someone posted I think an image on Discord where it actually shows her having like robotic eyes. It looks like she's like basically applied flesh coloring, like makeup, to her robot eyes as a way of hiding the fact that she is like was a cyborg or heavily cyborgified. So she has she's not blind, but she has implants that are cybernetic, and she's hiding them with makeup, essentially. Oh yeah, the first few raids, Michael, are very easy. It's like 3. It gets harder and harder the more you go, but it's like only like 2 or 3 water thieves the first time.
You know the drill.
And then that's basically my whole point in regards to like, it's really hard to critique DLC skins when you can just download any skin you want and apply it and you won't get banned for it. Like they're not gating, like technically speaking too, if you wanted to pirate the skins, I'm sure you could. Granted, it wouldn't be probably the same system, but you could probably do it. It's like they're not gonna ban you or remove your access to the game from doing your own things at the game, so like, yeah, it's on your own. Like, you want to download mods, go ahead. No one's stopping you. A toothy gunhead skin would actually be pretty dope. That could be a case too, Michael. Like that's a clever way of doing it too, right? Like kind of doing this mission where you need to go to a fab on map somewhere and have it get constructed. That makes a lot more sense than doing it in your innards. Like that's a clever way of doing it too, right? I wouldn't say 15 minutes, but like having it go to a map and like have to do it and like protect it while you're crafting it makes a lot of sense, right? In a way, you like, yeah, that works. So, fun little fact about this mission, to get the power, to kill the 4 guys up here. The 4 guys up here is one aspect, but also, when you have this quest, it changes the layout down below. Essentially, it's like endless exos. It's chaos. Exactly, like Cronin, like, yeah, it's like just maybe its own map too or its own thing, but that works. Like that's a clever way of doing it. That's one of many possible solutions, right? Yep. You will get a ton of extra spare parts from the gacha containers. And you like, even without doing the quest too, you can get the railgun parts from killing mechs and stuff. So it's not a fast process, but like, if you really did not want to do bunko, you could make the railgun without bunko. Alright, this is probably a little bit foolhardy. But I came here with a mission. God, why did you shoot me without aggroing? You fucking snipers. Well, the DLSS will override the scaling. It's one or the other. The DLSS is scaling, it's just dynamic.
Something's kicking out there.
Alright, do not mantle. I want to get on the railing, but I'm afraid of mantling and dying, so... Yeah, there's just exos everywhere here now. Exo here, exo here. Exo there. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let me change guns. Gabe, hold on. That needs to be fixed. So they have to let you animation cancel. It's so bad. Oh god, oh god. You shouldn't be up here. This shouldn't be allowed. I feel like these metal staircases should not be able to support the weight of an exo. I don't know, Ben. That's a great question. I literally have no idea. That was kind of one of my reasons why I think they should reduce the amount of guns in the game, but they will do what they will do. Game reload. What? How? 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 I'm dead. Grenades are so weird in this game. You go from like killing a exo in 4 shots to like mag dumping it and it just being fine. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they had animations, Nomad, to actually do that, but we're very far away from exos like that. Yeah, I feel like... I will say this. It definitely felt like the grenades were actually doing appropriate splash damage. What's up with the grenade launcher still having bugged projectiles? And like, that's essentially the issue at hand here, right? Kind of with more guns. Yeah, I definitely feel like the exo weighs more than that. Maybe not, but it looks like it does. Well, let me rephrase, it definitely looks like it does. There's always going to be this issue when you have so many guns of making them all meaningful, right? And feeling like they're deserving of being used. So, like, for example, the G36. You might vibe with the G36 roll hard, and that's fine. Why would you use the G36 over the M4? Or over, say, another 5.56 rifle? Is it for progression? I mean, you could say it's for progression too, right? But like, we don't see that. Like, that's where it comes into the fact. Like, it would just nice to me know the intent, right? Is like the intent of some of these guns to be just strictly worse than others for the sake of progression. It mainly feels more for vibes, right? It was like a, oh, this gun looks cool, let's include this. Yeah, but does that mean they're I mean, as we see in the trailers, Nomad, the intent is there to have the exos move like that. It's, I guess, more on, can they move like that? I guess you need to survive this to actually have it count. We killed the 4 wardens. Let's do some stairway. Regions, stairway. I mean, like, the intent's definitely there. Captain, what you're probably noticing is third-person recoil. A lot of guns right now have issues with third-person recoil. Let me see if I can show it here.
No heroes tonight.
Yeah, so a few of the guns still have an issue with the patch before. So like the AKs are fine, right? But a few of the guns will have this issue in third person where you can see the jump right now of like the game does. I really don't like the recoil pattern, or if you can even call it that. So guns right now, when you first start shooting in third person, will kick roll hard and then turn into a laser. Some of the guns will have the issue where the jump is like comical, like up to here, and then come down to like here when they're spraying. And the G36 is one of those. So it's just this weird quirk right now in regards to some of the guns. I'm not sure if it's by design, it's just... I don't know. I personally enjoy having to slightly micromanage. I like the feel of the current guns better. I like having to control the recoil of the old guns more.
They have arrived. We have to endure.
I don't think it needs to be like crazy, like you need to learn spray patterns, but like having a degree of like micromanagement that's rewarded when you're in your gunplay, I think is important. And it's definitely another factor of how you can balance guns right in regards to how they recoil and how they control. No.
Nothing to be done. They must be cut down.
No. I'm sorry. Like, at no point does it feel like I'm actually like doing anything other than pointing and clicking right now. And it just feels like RNG to an extent too, right? In regards to I'm alive because of when you get staggered, you have iframes essentially. When you're staggered in this game, you are essentially immune to dying. Because essentially, I guess they didn't want you to feel like you lost agency and got punished for it, so they just still remove your agency but don't punish you for it. It's just a stagger mechanic right now. I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is. Oh yeah, no, the stagger is weird. I don't mind aim punch or slowdowns, like stickiness when you get shot, but like an actual stagger. If the game's point is you're getting shot by something big enough that it should stagger you, it kind of feels like should you just be dead then? There's also like additional things too you can kind of do with like catastrophic damage. I wouldn't rely on that much. If you're using AI to get to that number, Michael, I would say that's probably very inaccurate. The EXO isn't that heavy. There's almost that might be off by like, is that one too many zeros? Did you copy and paste wrong? That feels like one too many zeros too many. Go look up the size of trucks. Trucks are in a way a bit bigger than EXOs, but at the same time have like, I feel like a similar amount of metal. Granted, you would have a lot more stuff internally to the EXO itself, so it would be heavier, but like 46k pounds is a lot. The EXO isn't that big. To a degree, Nim. It's a hard thing to balance too, right? But like, it doesn't seem right.
A couple dozen more in the ground. Make a difference.
How much does the T90 weigh? Yeah, that sounds way too much. There's gonna be hollow space inside too. Remember, a lot of the volume of the EXO, right, is that interior pilot cavity, which is just a void. And then you have the rear cell too. Like, you can't just assume it's going to be solid steel. The EXO is mostly gonna be pretty light in regards to steel. Yeah, like. And remember, the T90s in game are like insanely small, so they don't even do it justice. And considering the EXO is more going for, the EXO is more going for like maneuverability as opposed to rigid, like, you know, armor. Like, there's hollow cavities, there's plenty of hollow space, there's the engine bay, it's not solid.
Too many footsteps. We need to reduce their numbers.
So Sailor Pete, what I am doing is I'm hitting the loot all button here. I typically have enough space, especially on a map like this with low amounts of loot, where I don't need to care about what I'm looting. I can just pick it all up. On bigger maps with more with larger loot areas, on a character like this, I would have to be more picky. But on a map like this with low amounts of loot, it's more just about gathering stuff as opposed to being picky. And there are cases, for example, in Elephant Mausoleum and Ashen Mesa, where you need to be careful about what you pick up for HKs. This is not one of these maps, so you can just scoop everything up and be fine. Yeah, I mean, I would look into it too. That's a lot of fucking weight. I just don't feel like the X was big enough to actually warrant that weight, but I don't know. Yeah, it depends on how thick the armor is, and I don't think the armor is that thick. Like, small arms, yes. Medium arms, maybe, but like, I feel like if you had like a Dishka or like a Browning, you would light the fucking shit out of an Exo. Like, this is the Exo, right? Granted, it's a damage. Well, that's not even to size, I don't think. It might be to size, but like, I mean, this is a model, and sometimes a scaling fact. This is definitely, I think, too small, actually. We need to take away their scaling key. They can't keep getting away with it. These fiends, these developers, they do not care for consistent sizes. They're chaotic. They're chaotic neutral characters. They just revel in chaos. Should not stand. Yeah, but like, the Exo is a lot of empty space and voids and lights amount of armor. And that's kind of Exo, like that's kind of Europa's design too. Europa does not lean heavily into armor. Now, they do always have a degree of armor, like even their infantry, but they really do not go crazy in that regard. Didn't do any of the quests, got it. Good old stairway, never change, and it probably won't. Let's do an old-fashioned mech trench, like a good old days mech trench. £30,000 starts getting into the realm where I'm much more okay with that. It's still heavy. Like I would look into it a lot too, but it feels like it's just a weight saving thing too, right? Like we wouldn't want to have a weight ton also, so you can carry more of them. All right, we have the good old 3. Yeah, that's kind of how I view it, right? Like if you add a bunch of internal stuff to an F-150. Like an F-150's engine is almost bigger than that of it's almost certainly bigger than that of the Exo, right? That's kind of how I view it, right? If I'm comparing it to like a giant F-150, like that's a lot of weight. But like if you start loading up an F-150, right, it gets heavy real quick too. Let's be old. Maybe we don't be old, actually. I don't want to deal with this. Let's be short instead. Yeah, Master Chief's armor gets a little bit weird, right? Though at the same time, Master Chief's armor almost, like, considering it's not that thick, it feels like, Master Chief's armor feels to some degree like heavy science fiction polymers. I don't think they're running... I feel like we would see smoke or exhaust pipes, right, if we actually had a combustion engine like that. I think it's probably just a battery. Or some high-tech fuel cell stuff. It doesn't really feel like that stuff's going to be... Let's do... I'm at it. Alright, we're good. No, I don't feel like... I don't feel like it's like a traditional engine. I don't think it could be. That's probably enough ammo. Yeah, that's kind of like, that's how I kind of feel too. Well, no, Matt, is that including ammo? Or is that just including empty, like, is that empty or with ammo? The main point I'm thinking about, like, in the sense of, with all of the ammunition it carries and fuel it potentially carries, is the 8,500 pounds it unarmored and, oh, sorry, not unarmored, but, unladen? When you start out, like, adding thousands of rounds of ammo, right, it does get up very quickly. It wouldn't be that crazy, but, like, it would add up to quite a lot. But no, yeah, I would start at, like, looking at F-150s that, like, a fully loaded F-150, and perhaps going from that area, right? Because, like, keep in mind, too, F1, like, if you've never been, for those Europeans out there, if you've never been like, next to an American F-150, like, a heavy-duty F-150, they're massive fucking trucks. Yeah, I'm not sure. Melee would be really cool, Kalo. I'm not sure if they could manage all of the work that would go into having, like, a melee system outside of just having sync kills. It would be really cool, though. I would love it. I would, like, be on board, but it's a question of, do they have the resources for such a thing? What you doing there? No, hey. Stop it. Is he trying to flick shot me? Trying to get your COD montage reel? I wouldn't, like, I would be totally on board too, right, for them having, like, bayonets and shit. Granted, considering the change, though, they lose their guns so quickly now. Oh no, it's 100% taller than almost all people. There is a reason. So, like, the F-150, right, it has a little, like, it has, like, a little part of the truck that's meant to, like, be stepped on so you can actually get in the carriage. It's not a truck that most people can get into outside of, like, having that extra step stool to get into, basically.
Everyone for themselves.
Honestly, pretty similar to that, like, Mother Courage probably weighs similar to an Exa, right? Maybe, like, probably, like, 20% more, maybe 30% more, but, like, very similar to that of an Exo. Yeah, they don't really have, I mean, John, that tracks, though. But no, yeah, they don't really have memory at all. She's not that big. You get to keep in mind too, she's taller but leaner. Like, I think your memory might be fading you. She's not that big. You don't kill grabbers, you avoid grabbers. I mean, if you really want to kill a grabber, get 2 friends and bring a railgun with you. But the grabber is supposed to be avoided, not fought. Yeah, but like Mother Courage is not that big. She is tall, she is lean. Like she's not carrying ammo, right? She's carrying a few cyborgs. She is like probably like maybe 20% more than an XO.
Kicking out there.
Yeah, like 20% more than an XO. She's like probably yay tall instead. But she's not as like full as the XO is. Yeah, well, not very rude of all of you to do that to me. Enjoy getting locked out. Am I on meds? I'm good. So I would probably start, yeah, it's 1,200 pounds, 12 to 1,500 pounds, I would say, probably. I think she has like 2 right now, where she, like, one she's sitting down, but one she's also like, yeah, I've seen one of her new animations. I think she has a new idle animation too right now. You really came around? Why are you allowed to do this? This feels illegal. I've seen one of her new animations in game. I think she has a new idle one too sometimes. Yeah, but that is very true of trucks though. Unladen trucks are, there is a reason when they can. There's a reason why like in winter you generally, if you're in a very snowy area, you want to fill your bed with a lot of shit to help you get traction, because like all in all, outside of the actual ability to carry a lot of shit and the structural elements, trucks don't weigh anything because they don't need to, right? Like you have the frame, which will carry a lot or be a lot because it needs to support weight, and then the engine for power, but outside of that it's all just like sheet metal, right? But no, it definitely feels like a far cry from 30k pounds, right? 30k pounds feels like armored tank. XO doesn't feel like it's that armored. Man, there is it. Yeah, the cold does a lot of shit to machinery. Oh, hello, I didn't even know. Were you going against? This is why I can't nice things. So, I mean, while cyborgs are a lot better versus shotguns, the shotguns do just like annihilate infantry outside of cyborgs. Captain, they are nice. It's a nice counterpart though, right? Because it is like, it's a nice counterpart to regular maps. Why are you in here? You don't belong in here. These exos need their own nav mesh, man, on where they're allowed to go. I'm glad they exist too. They break up the monotony quite a lot. I still think Stairway's an F tier map, but like the new variant does help out a lot. And it's like, if for example, if Scrapyard didn't have 3 variants, Scrapyard probably would have been down to like D tier, right? Because it has 2 variants that are very probable, it helps save the monotony of the map a lot, right? Because Stairway in a way is like a very simple map that just has, you can make it very akin to Stairway. But because the variants, the 2 variants, the white and orange variant of Scrapyard happen so often, and they're so different in regards to how they feel, it breaks up the monotony of the map quite a bit. It still suffers, don't get me wrong, but like between that and its alternate pathing you can use, it helps out with the map a ton. Yeah, like, and that's kind of my point, the Captain, also. I can't really critique any of the maps on their aesthetic elements, right? They all look good. Some are better than others, but they all look visually really cool, right? It's just, when it comes to gameplay, a lot of them are lacking. Oh, the good old 3 quests. Yeah, I'll take a look later. I don't want to pull out my DMs on screen. All right. Hey Maverick, how's it going? All right. So, I really like this train on Frozen Swamp, but like, the train cars need to be way more full. Even if it's just, here's the thing, it doesn't need to be full for full sake of like lootable items, but it feels like it needs to be full of stuff just to have to loot, right? Or not, sorry, it's just for visually light, right? You don't need to be able to like loot all of it, but being able to visually see like containers full of shit would be nice. Yeah, I think Crab Goddess, that's 100%, like, I feel the same way. Since there's no way to influence night or day shifts, it feels... So, on a certain level, like, sure, the night shifts are scary, don't get me wrong, but like, once you get used to the night shifts, they're kind of a lot easier or much more manageable than the day shifts, right? But because you don't really have agency on when you play these night shifts, it feels like they kind of have to intentionally neuter... Well, hold on. Almost forgot. They have to neuter how these maps play. And so, if they made the night shifts much more of like optional as opposed to just RNG, you could essentially knock up the difficulty by a few notches.
I hate the surface.
And now, you would need to incentivize why people would go there, but you could definitely do that, right? There's plenty of ways of incentivizing that. Do you have a... Is there a stock on this? I can't even tell. Oh, there is. They put it on there. Those fiends. But no, like if they leaned in making night shifts actually optional,
What happens next?
as opposed to like RNG, they could make them more difficult. Why are the tracers so big? And right now too, there's definitely I would say personally, 50 cal tracers aren't that big. We have very different understandings of 50 cal tracers. I don't mind tracers, I mind the fact that they're comically sized.
Spread out.
I have no problem with getting visual confirmation on where you're shooting with tracers. They are comically sized. Oh yeah, we're shooting Rofus rounds. Our barrel life is all of like 5 bullets. Wait, did I just open this and there's nothing inside? Oh, there it is. Okay, we're good. Yeah, like, keep in mind, it's... I have no problem conceptually with having tracers shooting off all guns for visual clarity of where your bullets are hitting. I mean, KMS, you've seen the medium mechs, right? Shooting.
I think they spotted us. That's it for us.
Also, there's also the thing too, right? Like, if you don't voice your discontent, I mean, how will it ever get heard? If they don't see you get feedback on it, they're gonna be like, this is fine. Now, should you give that in a constructive way? Absolutely. And I feel like saying comically sized 50 cal tracer rounds is one way of doing that. It's been the case with all, like, here's the thing too, right? Other guns would do this, like, other guns would have the same size tracer also and be much smaller caliber, like 5.56, 45, 9mm, all of the tracers have been comically sized at one point. No, it's a nice game. This isn't a way why I like extraction shooters, Crab, is because they're very modular, right? They're very self-contained, especially when you apply offline and PvE to it. It's a game where you can appreciate it in small volumes. Yeah, that's a factor too, Michael, that it shoots all tracers is also a thing. And like, I can understand all tracers visually, right? Like, I wouldn't care about that level of granularity in regards to like alternating tracers. But on that note, because of that, they need to be smaller. You're saying these are 7.62 tracers?
Every shot counts.
I mean, this is 50 cal in game, but like, I think we all have different ideas of what tracers look like for small arms. Yeah, like this is like a 20mm tracer. I would agree with Nomad. Like, this is a 20mm tracer.
Whittle them down and we can break out.
See, Cronin. And I don't know, I would just say, like, stylistically, even if, like, it doesn't look right. On that note too, how do you guys feel about the visuals of the railgun? I'm curious. Is there any like issues in regards to a railgun shoot and roll slow?
Time to be on the surface.
It's technically not like, I would say it's as big, but not as, it's big, but not in a way like, I would equate them to be the same size, but they're not the same shape, right? They're both large patches, but they're not the same shape. In the place of a new map, we got a large new quest line, right? And some touch-ups on older maps. So on that note, right? What I'll say is this: there's a lot of liberties that seems to be taken in regards to saying one thing and stylistically going a different direction. And the railgun's a pretty good example of that, right? Where they use the terminology of railgun, but stylistically they head in a direction that's not like grounded in that, right? And that can be applied to just almost everything in the game in regards to like the words they use and what they end up showing, at least. Imagine if you were like a supply chain manager, right? Like an SEM, and like you order a basically a giant cargo container or like a giant train full of supplies, and you open up the carriage of the truck, and you open it. It's just this. It's just empty void. I think Nomad, that has to do with a lot of the, just, it goes back to this point too, right, in regards to like the marketing material saying every bullet matters, and then every vendor sells you 5 million bullets.
This is it. We decide what happens next.
Did I get my part? I feel like I probably got it right. Yeah, and like, here's the thing. If they don't want to call it a railgun, that's perfectly fine, right? But like, their choice of using the term railgun and then stylistically going for that approach, it just creates dissonance, right? And it kind of harkens back to my whole point, right? There's always a bit of danger using IRL guns in a game like this when you want to take stylistic liberties. Because people know how... There's plenty of people who know how guns work.
As long as I'm the last one standing.
And when you say this is X, Y, or Z gun, and they see how that gun functions in game, they're gonna be like, hey, that's not how that gun functions in game, and they're not wrong. Or how that gun functions, and they're not wrong. And you can say it's stylized, but like, if it's stylized, why are you using like an IRL model? This will be probably like, what, the 20th time we mentioned Elysium on stream, but Elysium does a good job, right? Now, imagine this, right? Imagine if Elysium used a stock AK to do its effect. So for those unfamiliar, Elysium, now logistically this isn't really, I don't think, possible. This is not feasible, but stylistically it's cool, and the look of the gun supports how it works. So, in Elysium, there is essentially a sci-fi AK that when you shoot it, it basically has exploding shrapnel rounds, right? And it has extra components on it to make it look sci-fi enough where you're like, okay, I can see that working. If you know how guns work and how small calibers don't support payloads, you start getting a little bit weirded out by it, but it's not, they're not shooting a stock AK, right? They're shooting a AK that's been like sci-fi-ified. So it like you're able to disbelief, or like you're able to suspend your disbelief because of the aesthetic of the guns, right? Or in Elysium, like you see the silhouette of an AK, you're like, oh, that's an AK, right? But you also see all the sci-fi parts on the gun. You're like, okay, well, it's sci-fi, so if it does something I don't think's possible, that's okay. But when you just have, you know, guns that look stock, when they don't function identically to how they would in IRL, you can't easily suspend your disbelief. Well, technically, there is always the rule of cool, right? Like, the rule of cool, like, the rule of cool works when something is cool, right? But it needs to be cool to justify it. If it's not cool enough by on itself, it doesn't really land. Like, the railgun is cool. Like, hold on, let's go over the railgun. Like, the railgun looks real cool, right? Don't get me wrong, it looks fucking awesome, but it, like, railgun, shoot slow bullet, doesn't... And that's something I will say too, actually, because railguns are a sci-fi concept. I mean, granted, they're grounded in physics, but because railguns are a sci-fi concept, that's where we get kind of our expectation for how these work. It's not based off an IRL metric, it's based off a sci-fi metric, right? And railguns and mass drivers always have these like fast hit scan projectiles, right? Railguns are real, but people don't generally know of railguns. People's first-hand experience aren't going to be with IRL railguns, they're going to be with sci-fi railguns. Well, in contrast, most people's expectations of guns are going to be based in real life as opposed to games or sci-fi first. You're probably gonna see guns in like news or media that are actual real-life guns as opposed to in games first, right? But there is that notion too, right? Where say for example, if someone is raised online, like an iPad kid, there is always that danger too, right? Where they might see something online and then witness it in real life and be like, oh shit, this doesn't actually work the way I thought it did. Thanks, One Cat, appreciate it. And like, there is a degree, right, of having to cater, or I guess to rely on the more common notions, because more people have experienced the, you know, guns in IRL than sci-fi. Oh, I mean, like, sci-fi generally knows the trope too, right? Where if you're doing sci-fi, you ground the guns, or if you're doing sci-fi, you make the guns look sci-fi. And if you want your guns to be the straight man, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with having the guns being the straight man in your sci-fi setting. Kind of like, for example, Marauders does, right? But Marauders actually does a good job of grounding their guns, despite them being still very arcadey, in a functionality that fits them, right? Aesthetically. Like, I use an STG-44 in Marauders, and it, like, this fits the profile in my head of STG-44. Is it arcadey? Sure. But, like, I can reasonably feel like I'm using a gun in that caliber, in that size, and, like, in that setting, right? It's not sci-fi, it's literally a World War II gun in a sci-fi diesel punk space setting, but it works. The gun is playing this weird straight man, right? But because it's grounded in reality of how this gun works, it feels fine. I wouldn't say the gunplay in Marauders blows me away, but there's not this weird dissonance in regards to Marauders' guns. What are we doing with you, Scav Girl? Yeah, G36. What map are we doing with you, actually? I don't want to do cemetery yet. Let's do some scrapyard. I rarely do scrapyard with Scav Girl. Captain, that's always fun. Thankfully, like, you can juke exos pretty decently by printing by them. Hey, Gwai, appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed the video. We'll play Gunhead eventually. Gunhead didn't get a new skin. Unplayable. I still find it so funny too how, like, because the animations for sync kills are based not on characters but just on genericness, not in a bad way too. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but like having when Mother Courage eats Gunhead, all she does is just eat the gun. It looks so fucking funny. It's just you have this massive giant robot for a gun for her head, and just like you see Mother Courage pick him up and just eat the gun, and then Gunhead dies from lack of gun. We don't need a quest for a scrapyard. I do need meds though. Here you go. Gunhead cannot live without gun. Yeah, but he can't comprehend a reality where he doesn't have his gun, so it just breaks his programming.
It's always the same up here.
So, by the way, this is like kind of the point I was raising with before. Like, you can see how much the gun jumps, and unlike M4s and AKs and RPKs where it actually resets down to the center, it just stays up there. So it makes third-person aiming with these guns really bad. ADS is fine, but like you can see how bad it is in third person. No, Wiver, it's called a Railgun. And Friday, probably. We're doing another community stream on Friday. Just for the facilitation of the Railgun. Just playing around the tank. Just playing around. There are no goals in the Forever Winter, there's just playing the game. What the fuck? Essentially, it basically, like, that's the thing about the EA game right now, like, for people who are, like, prospective buyers. The game is, like, literally goalless right now, right? I did ask them in a Q&A what kind of their plans was for this, and they kind of gave, like, you know, 4 or 5, but, like, 5-ish months from now, we should be seeing the early terms of progression. I imagine the Railgun probably one-shots tanks, right? So I would hope so. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, the animations are better. I would say it like this. The gun weapons, like the animations for weapons now are now serviceable. I wouldn't say they're amazing, but like I would be okay them being like left here. I mean, yeah, that's kind of like a self-prescribed goal. That's perfectly fair, right, Nomad? I've never been really generally a fan of like grinding stuff like that, right? Because at the end of the day, like, what's like, is this like a means to an end? Is there any real reason to grind Scav Girl that high outside of just completionist? Yeah, they're all going to kill unkillables. They use the word stunning, but yeah, essentially you can knock out or kill unkillables and get a codex for it. Presumably what it's going to be is like you get lore pages essentially for killing these units. And I know it is co-op gated for now. And like they did say they were going to do that too, right? So I have no issues with it, despite me mainly being a solo player. I did. So prestiging Nomad, when you prestige up to 25, you'll gain HP, a little bit of speed, and a larger experience pool to use on skills. Past 25, it's only for Gunhead.
Bad luck today.
But like, so going back to the Railgun and large units, right? I kind of thought they were saying... I kind of thought they were going to be saying, or like they were saying that they were going to add like, not necessarily like, or rather more mechanics to killing bosses, right? If it's just construct this thing that's hard to get and then point and click, it feels a bit lacking. I kind of thought they were more going to be, not necessarily boss fights, but like finding ways of exploiting weaknesses, right? Like through weak points or just like positioning or just stuff like that, right? Or like a multi-step process. Just
We brought all this gun.
as a good first baseline just to test out the system, it works, but I hope there's more to it coming. Or a bit more nuance to its coming. Because it just feels kind of very simple of like, how do we kill Scav Girl? Or sorry, how do we kill Scav Girl? How do we kill Mother Courage? It's like, oh, we just make big gun and shoot bullet. There's not really a lot of interesting aspects to it. It's just make big gun, shoot bullet.
Safekeeping.
Maybe not here in the chat. I know plenty of people who probably have done it or tried. There's no way someone hasn't done it yet. There's people who have been grinders. There was that one poor guy too. I mean, it's only experience past 25, right? It's just a bigger experience pool. When they did the water rework, right, the final water rework for now, there was a guy who posted in the comments saying he was very upset because he grinded 1,000 water and had 1,000 water on hand for making sure he didn't have water. And like, there's plenty of people who like that, who did that prestige probably too, right? In regards to like really grinded early access to have things fully unlocked for when the game finally releases. Yeah, exactly, Blood. There's always that danger in early access too, right? Of just like, yeah, maybe don't go too hard on things that might get wiped. I mean, if you want to and you're okay with that, go ahead, but like, don't go crazy when things get wiped. SC, they've always said that they do not want to do wipes, and they won't do wipes unless they have to, but there will be instances where reworks of mechanics might require a wipe to work. They've never expressed the intent just to wipe for wipe's sake on launch. Now, I think they need to add mechanics in to facilitate natural wipes, but that should be under the player's control. I think there's really cool like progression and meta systems they can do to work wipes, and wipes are a natural kind of cycle for extraction shooters. You're generally not you are not the agent of that wipe though, because there's multiple people playing the game. However, in a game like this, you are in control. Like, you should be in control of your wipe because ultimately it's just you and you yourself, right? There is co-op, but like the co-op is more second fiddle to your experiences, I feel, right? I don't ego. It's always the factor cool, like ego, because stuff like that sounds cool. Do I think they have enough bandwidth to balance stuff like that and make it actually nuanced and interesting? No. I am of the opinion that they need to probably reduce the amount of gun, like, considering the amount of functional overlap in the guns right now, balancing them in a way that makes them feel interesting, I feel is already very fucking hard. And adding stats like that could help, but like those are make a lot more sci-fi stats. Exito, like, yeah, the skill trees are very placeholder. Like they feel placeholder, like they're just, yeah, they're placeholders. The skill trees are like, yeah, a meme. So, Maverick, before they hotfixed it out, grenades were in the game for a very brief period, but really only in a testing kind of criteria. Essentially, it seems like they accidentally forgot to remove a few lines of code that helped them test grenades in the game. Like, it was basically a developer feature for testing grenades that snuck into the patch. I don't think it was ever supposed to be in the game. No, they were always supposed to do that, Michael. They were always supposed to increase your accuracy at the cost of HP. Now, whether that is good or not is one thing, but they always did that. It was just, it was hard to notice before, but I guess it's more noticeable now. I think it'd still be crazy to use them. No one uses 6 because they feel awful. The main culprit being when you use cigarettes, during the entire debuff when you're losing HP, you can't heal. Which is a real bad debuff. Like a real bad debuff. I mean, Exito, healing is very strong in this game. It used to be stronger. They have balanced it to the point now where you can't out-heal incoming damage. You can mitigate it, but you can't out-heal it. If you're fighting a squad in the open, your advanced medkit's not gonna save you. Before it kinda did. They've been, every single patch since launch, they've upped the damage and accuracy of NPCs. And they feel finally good at this point where your medkits are insanely useful, but at the same time, it will not save you in a bad spot. Hey, Hangy. So it's a good balance now. Now, should there be a bit more, like, issues for you taking damage over and over again? Probably. But for now, it's fine. For testing the game and not having it be too draconian, it's fine. I wouldn't mind if they added in a mechanic, for example, where, say, if you take 100 damage, you can only heal 90 of it. Essentially a way of attrition, right? If you take too many fights, you take too much damage, you can only ever heal so much of it back.
We have the munitions to remove the threat.
Oh, Michael, yeah, that is the worst. That is right up there with being animation locked in reloads. That's not how blades fly. I mean, on a very meta level, that's how they fly, I will say, but like not to that. Planes do descend like that, but not that aggressively in that look, right? Like if you zoom out and like watch over a long period, that kind of actually is how planes fly, but not this close or not that short period. It's, oh god, I didn't think about this. Painless, please. I can't see painless. I've just seen how planes fly. I mean, a lot of classes usually teach you how, show you how ailerons work pretty early on, right? Like, I learned about ailerons in high school, for fuck's sake. And this was American high school. We're fucking dumb as shit over here. I can't remember what class taught me that, but we went over ailerons in high school. Might have been a woodshop class, perhaps. We'll probably come back to here. I just want to go look over the trenches first. Yeah, no, I'm thinking about it. I think it was a woodshop class, but like we were basically like using wood carving to construct ailerons and having them perform, or maybe it was physics. It might have been physics too. At some point in high school, we learned about ailerons. And essentially, for those unfamiliar, if I recall correctly, I might be getting the terminology wrong here. It's been so fucking long, I might be saying the words wrong here. Ailerons are basically the shape of the wings to facilitate lift and drag and stuff like that. Essentially how planes fly. And it's really interesting too. Not glide, it wasn't for gliders, no. It was just like the general shape of like it. We basically would put the we would construct like I think the project was basically making making an aileron and essentially putting it in a pseudo wind tunnel, and whoever did the best got like the it was like a reward, right? I mean, okay. Exito, there's an issue right now where there's a lot of... What the hell? A lot of the props in the game right now... Is there water around here? A lot of the props in the game right now have weird scaling. Yeah, Oni, I'm not good at pronouncing things. I am probably butchering the shit out of the word. It has been generally a long time since I've been in high school.
Under fire from multiple vectors.
But like the core concept that when planes are flying, they're flying in an arc, right? They're not going straight through the air. They are going up and then descending. They might look like they're flying straight, but they're never really flying straight. They're going in an arc always. These commercial flights that big. Where's my water at? Words are hard. English, I'm sure for not all of you non-native speaking English people out there, English is a real bitch sometimes.
Our ammo is insufficient for the threat.
Airfoil, yeah, airfoil. There we go. I think I'm thinking about airfoil. I think 100% right, Maverick. I think about airfoil. That rings a bell. It has been genuinely over a decade. Airfoil rings some massive bells, actually. No, you're good. No, please correct me. I will take no problems with anyone with actual experience correcting me. You're good. I appreciate it. It's been a long time. Yeah, so like, remember this all harkens back, thanks World War II. This all harkens back basically to like what the cyborg bombers are doing is technically right. It's not like it's not what they're doing is wrong. It's the span of time in which they're doing it, right? It's okay for them to be descending like that because that is grounded in reality. It's just so very abrupt where it looks like the angle of attack for them is way too... God damn it. Stop making me do things, frickin' bots. Alright, they're gone. Gui guy. I'm scared. I'm scared if there's ever subtitles in the game. Now, naturally, they probably need to do them for like, for purposes, but like, considering the UI currently, it would probably just be above the HP bar. I mean, I imagine we're eventually due for an AI or a UI rework, right? SC, not yet. The plan is to do it publicly this Friday. We're doing a community stream this Friday. I mean, they could be VTOL bombers. They don't look like VTOL bombers. There's no way they do this, by the way. I would find it really funny, but if these were CAPTCHAs and we just couldn't recognize them as Gunhead, would be fucking hilarious. Or if it was like, not impossible, like, if it was like arbitrarily harder as Gunhead to do those. On like the level 2, right? I actually really like that minigame. I almost in a way would prefer like a drilling minigame, right? Like, that minigame is simple and to the point, but it does create some tension. It's not hard once you learn it, which is a great sign of a minigame, right? But like, if you're under duress or stress, it can become arbitrarily hard, not from it being actually hard though. I don't know. I think they did. I don't remember. We had some Gunhead players, I think, on the stream. I think Bud was playing Gunhead. Blood, were you having issues with Gunhead's Gunhead on the stream? Well, so the thing is that they're solar powered. They're solar powered cyborg bombers, which makes me kind of feel like a lot of... It feels like they should be pretty heavily like focused on the conservation of energy. It's Guy? Okay. Not today. Oh god, it's so inaccurate now. Oh god. I win. Godhead wins again. So Michael, I find the UI serviceable, but like I'm not in love with it. Like if the UI never changed, I'd be like, all right. But I don't think I would probably use the UI at all if I had a choice. In a way... Oh, this is actually the... This is normal music for this map. What game was it? There was some game, right, where people were critiquing. So, extra context before I go into this. Some of the developers for this game are from Guerrilla Games, which is the maker of Horizon Zero Dawn. And I want to preface this with saying, just because there's the opinions of one UI designer does not mean it's the opinions of these developers. That being said, okay, so going to that the preface there being done. There was a game that did some UI elements that were like very minimalistic. Maybe it was Elden Ring. I think it might have been Elden Ring at the time. And one of the designers, the UI designers for Guerrilla Games, kind of critiqued the UI design of whatever game it was. I think it was Elden Ring, if I recall. Was it Dead? No, I think it was Elden Ring. I would look into it. It was pretty controversial at the time, right? Because there was a lot of memes made about it. And like how they didn't like the UI design. Yeah, I think it was Elden Ring 2 now. Yeah, it was Elden Ring. So the UI designer from Guerrilla Games didn't like the UI design of Elden Ring, how minimalistic it was. But like, and then everyone memed the fuck out of it by applying all the UI elements that Horizon Zero Dawn does. And Horizon Zero Dawn does allow you to turn all of them off. But man, if you keep all of the UI elements on, the game practically just tells you what to do constantly. And that was a nice aspect of Elden Ring. Like, Elden Ring has a lot of flaws, don't get me wrong. It's a good game, but it was definitely one of those games for your first time through. The sense of exploration was really cool in that game, despite a lot of the elements being Control-C, Control-V. Elden Ring definitely had issues with its scale being too big to make a lot of the content feel impactful, but the content it was able to focus on was good. You all know what I'm talking about too, right? Elden Ring had all the like the Control-C, Control-V dungeons. Hey, Jacob. I didn't wait long enough for the civilians, god damn it. Did I really not get a data cache at all of those crates? Ugh. Alright, maybe we suffer as old man for a bit. To get a better rig. And like, for all of this shit, my highest prestige is probably Masked Man. He's like 26 or 27, so I've stopped leveling him up. Masked Man's my highest. They're all mostly up there. I think Old Man's my lowest. 23. You're not high either. 22. Yeah, Masked Man's my highest at like 26, 27, but like I've stopped leveling him up now because he just there's no point. Minus 36 experience. All right. Ode Mon. Cannot use SMGs. I want an old man skin. Like, it wouldn't fit the game at all, but I want an old man skin where it's like an old man with like the old timey hat and like basically plaid, like a plaid golf outfit on. Speaking of plaid, speaking of golf, any of you watch Sunday? And I'm being vague, but I feel like if you get the reference, you know exactly what I'm referring to right now. I am being intentionally vague. We probably need to go 5-4-5. Pipe and slippers, 2 duffs, 100%. This last Sunday and related to golf. Not literal golf, but I guess a golf club. God, I hate these early rigs. Well, rather, I don't mind the early rigs. It just, in contrast to what you get so quickly, they're real bad. I'll give more hints. I'll drop off more hints. It's about a controversial game. But it's not but the thing that took place Sunday was not the game. will say, it's probably a good thing you guys are not getting the hint. It gets pretty controversial pretty quickly in regards to this game. Abby's long drive. All right, yeah, Bad. Bad knows what I'm talking about. I feel like Bad just gave a pretty big hint. I'll say it eventually, but I feel like Bad's comment there on Twitch lets you know exactly what I'm referring to. I mean, a little hoppy, or little hops. It really depends on like how much is $10 worth to you. Do you want to support the developers? Oh god, a chopper. And do you like the skin? Out of the 3 skins, I like Scav Girls the most. It's the most grounded and grounded for the game aesthetically, I feel like. So I enjoy quite a lot. It's my favorite of the 3 skins. So if you have $10 to spare, you want to support the developers, and you like the skin, I would say Scav Girl skin's the best out of the 3. That being said, there's the mod DB, so you can download mods to replace some other Scav Girl skins if you really want to. But yeah, it just depends on how much $10 is to you. No, she didn't. All right. ST, my problem with both Masked Man, or sorry, Shaman and hold on. My problem with Shaman and Bagman, their skins don't really work with the rigs in the game. There's some weird aesthetical issues. I'll highlight this too when I get back to the innards. The aesthetics of the rigs do not match very well with the skins. They're pretty conflicting in regards to the palette. And naturally, it's a taste thing, right? And it's my personal preference that I don't think they're very good.
Worth the extra weight.
Chucky, that's a good observation. I feel like that's definitely a good point to raise. I'll say 2 things. It is a lot of people just trying to kill them now, which kind of highlights how actually fragile they are. The additional thing, though, is while they might have the same amount of HP before, they lose their guns a lot faster now, so they can't fight back as effectively. When after 1 grenade salvo, they kind of lose their main gun, the core kind of, the main thing you'd be worried about fighting them is now gone. Also, to go on Bad, to make sure we highlight this, what I'm referring to is The Last of Us 2. And Abby's long drive, aka golf club. And if you're not engaged in the media and you don't know The Last of Us 2, you haven't watched or played it, that's perfectly fine, don't worry about it. But it was definitely a big controversial element of the game when it first came out.
Don't get boxed in. Spread out.
Kayla, there's definitely, I'm not sure how many map artists they have or map designers they have. There definitely is a point of that, right? And part of it's definitely on the like bandwidth size, part of it's on the technical side. Yeah, like the maps do require, I think, a lot of TLC. There's a lot, right? I could pick out so much. Goodbye, Chopper, thank God. Yeah, I mean, between the choppers and the bombers, right?
Congrats, guys.
I was a bit busy, so I only posted about the railgun, really. I was gonna post about the choppers and the flying units, too. So in my patch video, there is a segment where you see, it's really cool, but you see on the the Eclipse Ashen Mesa, you see a cyborg bomber descending from kind of the sun and coming down, but because it's flying in a not normal trajectory, it looks really weird. It'd probably be a bit better too. I'm not sure how much of it's on the actual flying of the bomber, but just the weird kind of chute it has deployed, right? Maybe it's just more that the chute needs to be deployed dynamically as opposed to just statically. I think Jarhead can destroy everything. I don't think there's unkillables in the game still now. At least when it comes to railgun stuff. I think it's really only... Yeah, I think the railgun can destroy everything. Alright, let's do some mech hunting. Actually, I was gonna show this off to you. Let's go over to Shaman. Do I have a skin on? I do. So let me use his most common backpack you would use on him. So you can just kind of see, right? It's two things, right? I mean, it doesn't like palette-wise, it doesn't clash too much, but there's a lot of collision going on in regards to the rig and the skin, right? There's a lot of overlap where it just looks like it's not great on all characters, but on this character in particular, it has a lot of issues where it just melds into the skin itself and just looks kind of weird. And if we go over to the Bagman, and go over to like one of the more common rigs you would see on Bagman. Do you have your skin on? I don't have your skin on. So same exact thing where this is more palette based as opposed, I would say, to like collision based. But the palette of like the actual character skin to like the actual model just looks really off-putting and weird. They visually clash. They look like he looks like he needs like a sci-fi or like high-tech backpack, right? While if we go over to Scav Girl, like she's like the only model out of this DLC pack where her skin actually looks appropriate to this, like one, the setting, and the others aren't bad in that regard, but like the rigs actually fit her appropriately, it feels like, right? Captain, probably the RPK. It's weird with, it's weird with the recoil changes, or like, I guess the cone changes, but like really the RPK is still the de facto, like, assault rifle, right? You get a lot of ammo per reset. It's got a lot of mod support. You can put different things on it, like, yeah, for mod support. It does decent to good damage. Technically, the 308, the SA-58's better, but the problem is you only get about half the amount of ammo per reset, so you're constrained in that regard. Now, like, if you go really guns blazing, you're not gonna get enough ammo per reset to like actually use the RPK fully. But between the like going between the RPK, AK, and M4 and the SA-58, like rotating between these four guns, you won't ever run out of ammo. As long as you keep stocking up on resets, you're fine. And if you want to camp resets too, you can do that and get plenty of ammo, but I usually don't bother with camping resets. I find it kind of boring. The Scar, I will say, if you're okay with going unsilenced, the Scar is great, yeah. I generally always go for silenced guns first. If you're okay with going unsilenced, the Scar is fantastic. And it does provide you a good reason to go unsilenced too, right? Unlike a lot of guns where it's just, if it's unsilenced, it's worthless. The Scar is like, I'm really powerful, but I'm unsilenced. All right, got meds, got ammo. Any quests? There is actually 2 quests on Mesa, unlike the other ones. Yeah, I don't know. It technically has a silence barrel. You're not wrong. Marginally, people, that's been an anecdote for like a very long time, Michael. I believe it. It doesn't feel big enough to be warranted though, really. The M79 though is fine considering
I hate this so.
it's a grenade launcher only a few characters can use, unlike regular grenade launcher. But no, yeah. That's kind of an issue too when you don't have a pistol slot in a game like this, is like, why would you ever bring a pistol? The M79 is a good example of why you would, but like otherwise, it's pretty marginal. No mechs? Really? I can't hear to kill mechs, and there's not even tanks here. I've been bamboozled. No mechs, no tanks. Yeah, I mean, in regards to like best characters, right? It's basically between Masked Man and Shaman, and it really just depends on, do you want to be fast or do you want more gun? They're both middle mine. Like, if like, that's a purpose with like mechanical design too. I'm sure they'll fix it eventually, but like right now, there's not much point in playing Scav Girl outside of Shaman. Eventually, once you get to like max level at 25, you're fine. But like that leveling process of having to deal with rig upgrades is so annoying. They shouldn't be that rare. It's just, I think, the luck factor. Well, I guess they fixed it marginally. Now it's going into the ground again. That silly chopper. So as part of the update, they allowed choppers to ascend and descend. It doesn't work all that well. They just fly into the ground occasionally. It can get like that, Captain, too. When you have like a 10-15% chance, or like, I don't know, it just, probabilities are always weird. True random is always weird. They had to be disabled, ST. You can no longer repair fully destroyed guns now. You can repair disabled ones by just bringing them out, but like, you can't repair destroyed guns. I have not. I usually don't play that much Scorched Enclave, but that sounds very funny. I don't know, on a fundamental level, they kind of, it feels like on a way they need to start at ground zero again for the movement of aerial units. I might. I would do them, Duffs, if there was a reason to do it. The problem being, right, is there's not really an area to do it. I think the new map actually allows for it. The new map's probably a good new one, but there hasn't been like, none of the night shifts have ambient music and stuff like that outside of the new map for what's it called? For Stairway. So probably I'll do another one, Duffs, but there hasn't been like an area to do a new one yet. but with the new map for Stairway, there seems to be an area now. And the bridge is really cool. And I think that's like, this is one of the cooler areas of the game. And it feels like a lot of the maps don't explore this kind of space very well. Like the grand megastructures and making you feel small. Like it's hard to. Stairway feels like a map that should make you feel pretty small, but it doesn't really do that. Like it feels like it should, but it doesn't, right? Where's the thing at?
That's what I need in my life. Now read.
So, Try, considering you're running a very old version of the game at this point, the demo is like 4 to 5 patches old at this point. If you're getting 60 to 70 on the demo, you should be great on the actual live build of the game. So if your concern is performance, and like if you're getting 60 to 70, that's basically what I play the game at. So like, you're kind of seeing what you get at this point. But like the demo's only gotten better, or sorry, it's only gotten better since the demo. So if you're getting 60 to 70 on the demo, you should be good on live. Yeah, like that's the thing too, right? Like a Stairway feels like a map where you should feel small, but it doesn't really do that, right? Because you don't really interact with the scale of the map. Like, hold on, let's just go back quickly, actually. And like, despite that, too, Scorched Enclave does a good job of this too, right? Where Scorched Enclave, like, despite it being a pretty small map, it does give you a sense that you're pretty small, right, with the grand structures in the back. Elephant, I would say, does a very bad job of making you feel small. It's all naturally very subjective, but this is one of the very few maps, right, where you actually, like, directly interact with the scale of things and the destruction. And it's part of making you not feel like that guy is making you feel insignificant, right? And making you feel small like this makes you feel like that. And not all of the maps do that very well. Yeah, Swamp is good because you're always under the shadow of the injector site. And there's the off-wall too. I wouldn't say it's as good as this map in this area, but like it does a good job. And that's kind of partially too, we'll play Cemetery next, why I was let down with Cemetery. Cemetery, considering the innards, right? Cemetery doesn't do a good job of giving you this grand sense of scale underground, right? Considering we're constrained underground, there's really these massive areas underground, like underground Cemetery feels like it should have been a spot where there should have been this massive sort of like, hey, you're underground, but like just because you're underground doesn't remove you from the scale of things. Nice try, appreciate your viewership. Oh yeah, no, Chucky, I realize that too. I keep realizing it definitely in the like I'm loading to the game area, and I keep forgetting afterward. Yeah, that's definitely a factor, Chucky. There is always going to be this concern in regards to peer-to-peer. Like, okay, say what you will. There was definitely people, and like, people critiqued Arrowhead and Sony of having Helldivers 2 have anti-cheat, but Chucky's experience having to talk about this is exactly why you have to have anti-cheat in games like this, and it sucks, right? And I don't want them to see them going this route, but there's definitely a dilemma, right, of people who want this game to be a co-op shooter as opposed to a PvE solo shooter with co-op optional, right? And the problem is if you lean heavily into the co-op aspect, you start kind of getting into this weird area where you start forcing multiplayer and public lobbies, and when you don't have anti-cheat, you get trolls. And it won't ever be as bad as RMT cheating, but like that is natively going to be a downside, right? Of like if they lean into co-op and people have to feel like they need to play lobbies, it just creates this kind of tension and like this friction into playing the game, right? It's like, oh, I want to play this game, but I need to do co-op, and then I need to like make sure I find a private lobby of people, because otherwise I might get a cheater in my lobby who might brick my game. Like, if you start having to raise those questions up, there starts becoming a friction, right? Yeah, and like it won't ever be as bad as RMT. Like once you start adding money to the equation, it gets real bad real quick, and becomes there's no reason for this game to have RMT. Yeah, Chucky, like, and like there's a very clear chance they did it to troll you, right? Because they knew it would brick your game. I have played Destiny 2 Diet, and like Destiny 2 has always done a good job with scale and making you feel small, right? Destiny 2's ambient like art design like levels were always good. Now they always have their issues here and there, but like Destiny 2 has always been a very polished and well done experience. Bungie's always big issue has always been their management of their game, not necessarily their content in the game itself. All right, characters, Scav Girl. We don't need ammo. Also, yeah, sometimes occasionally it bugs out and lets you just keep stuff on Scav Girl like a grenade launcher. D2 was great, but like it got boring fast because the way they did content, they would never keep up. When you do a live service game, right, that's always going to be the issue, is how do you provide enough content for the grinders? Like it's this weird balance, right? It's a really complicated issue. It's so hard to sum. It's much like a lot of things. Content for live service games and how you structure it and how you provide for your players, right, from casual to hardcore, it's a very big and hard issue to solve, and it's very nuanced with a lot of complications. I will say, for the most part, Destiny approached it in a pretty good way, but they still faltered under its complexity, right? It's a very complex issue. So like, how do you... I'll for example highlight one of the ways they solved it, right? Destiny 2 wanted to cater to hardcore raiders and like grinders, but also wanted to be accessible to casual players. And their way of like slowly time getting content and making it easier as time progressed was really interesting and a good way of doing it, right? So for those unfamiliar, Destiny would essentially release a raid like 1 or 2 weeks after the game launched, or the content launched essentially, and because of how they kind of time gated you on a week-to-week basis, which is what it is, it's a live service game, that's how you kind of slow progress down, you would get to the point where the content would unlock, but you wouldn't be high enough in regards to your gear level essentially to do the content easily. And so the chase item for these hardcore raiders was like, hey, you know, the content will get easier week by week, but if you want to do this difficulty, you'll get a reward for it. And it was a really cool way of making content for everyone, but providing the challenge to hardcore players. Oh god, drones. In regards to making the content accessible to them. For both groups, basically. And that was a really cool way of doing it. Now, Destiny 2 had other issues, right? But like, on a whole, they came up with some really good solutions to the problem of live service and making it for both casuals and hardcores. Yeah, I know it was partially. Man, I had a large discussion with someone on the Discord on this like a couple days ago. While you can hold Bungie accountable for their failings in that regard, it is always going to be an issue in regards to projects, right?
Luck today.
Of this trade-off between longevity and ease of development. And Bungie being an independent developer, they can only have so much cash they can pull from, so much support they can pull from, and still keep themselves independent, right? And so when they were going from Division or Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, right? They could only develop the game for so long before they have to release. And you could go to the engine people and be like, or the more low-level developers and be like, hey, we need a game that can support this amount of content for this long. And they're gonna be like, okay, well, we need this amount of time to develop that. Or we need to take this in consideration too, right? There's all of these trade-offs, right? All of these different issues. And Bungie chose the route that probably had faster development, but had the caveat of they couldn't support endless content, right? They got too bloated for their own good. And it wasn't only technical too, right? Destiny 2 had to sunset content for technical and gameplay reasons. They couldn't balance the amount of content they had in the game. And ultimately that failing is on them, but on a level 2, it's on the very, very like beginning project managers and scope, you know, on the requirements level, right? There's a failing at the very, very baseline of that, right? So it is on Bungie, but like sometimes you're dealt a shit hand and you just have to deal with it, right? And sometimes, you know, you're the dealer too.
Bad luck today.
It doesn't excuse Bungie sunsetting, but like it's important to understand the context and why they had to do it. It wasn't malicious. It was by necessity. But the fact that it came up in the first place is their fault. And in a way too, it's the failure of live service, right? Like suffering from success. Like on a level, right? If you go and talk to someone, right, and like whenever you go to like a business person, right, or like an investor, they're not like, they want you to succeed. They don't care about 10 years down the line. Like it's generally speaking, you're worried about being successful first and worrying about the longevity later. Because why worry about the longevity if it never happens in the first place?
Bad luck
No,
today.
don't you see me? I need my book back. I didn't actually see the book was there. The drones tricked me. Investments thing too, right? But I mean, Bungie is private. They probably had still private equity, but still. Yeah, I mean, since they've sunset though, Mushi 2, Bungie's have had a lot of issues recently, right? At its core, I think, once again, Bungie makes really good games and good content. It feels like they've just been chronically mismanaged for a very long time now. Say what you will, right? I know plenty of MBAs, and don't get me wrong, MBAs are a dime a dozen, and most of them are full of fucking hot air. But just like anything, when you actually find like a MBA or like a project manager worth their weight, they're worth their weight in gold. Like, you might think of like having a facilitator who technically doesn't create things as bad, but there's real gains from the efficiency and proper management, right? Like, if managers were wildly redundant, they're if they were not necessary, they would never have propped up in the first place in regards to companies. They would have been removed from being redundant, but they do provide value. Now, the ones that do are few and far between because, yeah. But it definitely feels like Bungie's been mismanaged for a very long time. And I think it's a problem too, for example, of like, naturally humans like seeing things in a hierarchy. We see like the PMs as the managers as like top dog in charge. But like, I much prefer the framing of facilitator. They're not necessarily like the one in charge. They're the liaison between all of the people in a way, right? You can definitely, they're usually given responsibilities of being the one in charge, for example, like hiring and firing. But on a certain level, their primary job should be a facilitator, right? They're mainly logistics oriented, but they're the logistics of people, not of like resources, really. Flavius, I do not have high hopes. For the exact same reasons I mentioned in regards to Bungie having issues recently, I think Marathon, the amount of doubt people are throwing at Marathon right now is definitely an issue, right? It's going to need to do so well to turn that sentiment around. Now, is it impossible? No. I think people are giving them the benefit of the doubt, though, for sure. It's not like Concord, where Concord was like flamed right out of the gate. Concord was never going to do well because Concord was already being flamed before it even released. But like, the sentiment is definitely different around Bungie, it feels like, where people are hesitantly optimistic, right? Like, people don't have high hopes, but are hoping that Bungie pulls it off, right? So the sentiment's definitely different in regards to Bungie. Now, I think they're definitely hitting a market that's been saturated for a while now, and they're gonna need to do a lot to pull people from the incumbents, especially considering they're not really offering any, I would say, gameplay differences over extraction shooters. Like, I don't see a giant, if we look at the Cycle Frontier and look at, you know, for example, Marathon, I'm not sure if they're all that different outside of Bungie's just excellence in regards to gameplay and story design, right? The M16 is, yeah. Almost all guns you can customize in the game. So the M16, you can customize a few times, right? You have a few different ones here. I mean, might as well use a grenade launcher weapon while I can with this guy. I wonder if it's the skin allowing me to do this. Is this the skin causing me to like this allowed? Maybe it's the skin. Let's see here. Let's do elephant. Yeah, like so much in it too, but like it's one of the first extraction shooters that's gonna be on console. So I guess to get to see if the console market is interested in extraction shooters, I kind of lean toward no. Extraction shooters are, on a whole, usually a fairly sweaty environment that drive very, like, not, I won't say rabid fans, but like people who play extraction shooters, they pick one and stick to it and grind the shit out of it, right? And I generally don't see that being a trend in regards to more casual audiences on console. I tried it, Little Papa, immediately when I first launched the game, and it didn't work. I don't know. Maybe it takes a few runs to pop up, I guess. I did not play Fortnite. I was too old for Fortnite when it came out. I was above the age of 12. I don't mind the visuals of Marathon all that much. It's definitely stylized, right? But like it feels fine. It's definitely like heavily arcadey, right? Very strong color palette. It might just be the fact that it needs to, like, these being always deployed just looks weird too. I don't know. Yeah, that's definitely like a point I can understand for sure, Blade, right? In regards to Marathon, using the terminology or using the IP of Marathon, despite it being a far cry from the original Marathon, I think definitely does not get them brownie points. They're probably, it's probably innocent, right, in regards to like, oh yeah, we'll use our old IP, right, to like instill nostalgia, but we'll use nothing else from the old setting. I enjoyed PUBG for a while. Now, like, I always played PUBG in a very ratty way. I never dropped at hospital in PUBG. I would always play the I would always play the Outer Bounds. Some people played PUBG like a shooter, like a arena game. I played PUBG like a survival game. That was always the thing with Tarkov too, right? Like, sure, you can call it rat game style, right? But it basically depends on, are you trying to actively play like an arena shooter, or are you trying to play a survival game? And I've always leaned more into the survival game aspect. And it's kind of why I don't like Rust either, right? Like Rust has other issues too, but Rust was a game where it's like, it's much more of like about the combat and progression as opposed to surviving. You could play it like a rat, but like it doesn't really do a lot for that game style. It's kind of hard, Rex. There's not a whole lot with the bomber, right? Hi, dog. No. All right, whatever. Like, there's not really a whole lot there with the bomber. Like, we know it's solar powered. We know it drops cyborgs. Like, that's really all there is to it. I mean, I could do a real short one, but like, it's not a lot there. You can't interact with it at all. You can't shoot it down. It flies through terrain sometimes. They are really cool, and like solar-powered bombers does seem like really cool too. It gives a sense that because they're solar-powered, they're going from across, like they're starting in Asia and then flying over here. I'm also, on that note, I've already seen that they delayed, man, that delay for Dune, oh, that's peak Funcom. Funcom is definitely a studio where like I want Dune to be good so bad. I have so little faith in Funcom. Sorry, not sorry. I have been burned too many times by Funcom. Between Age of Conan, Conan Exiles, just every game they make just feels so rushed. For those unfamiliar, Age of Conan was a MMO during the era of WoW, where it was actually breaking the mold of WoW, right? It wasn't like a pure WoW clone. There was definitely inspirations here and there, but like it was one of the few MMOs released during that era that wasn't just a strict WoW clone. But essentially, imagine this. imagine you basically play the tutorial section, right? It's heavily polished. It's full of content, full quest lines, full of everything, right? Like, it is, for all intents and purposes, an insanely polished experience for like the first quarter of the game. I guess it's not even quarter because it slows down quite a bit after that. Let's just say like your tutorial area for the MMO is so well done. It's got full VO. It's amazing, right? It's got good zones, good art, good everything. And then it's tailored too. And then you leave that starting area where they would show you the demo of the game, right? And then you would leave that area, and then it turned into the most generic, bare bones, piece of shit MMO that ever existed. It was the rug pull of all rug pulls before rug pulls existed. This was before the time of crypto rug pulls that were well known, right? So it was like, in a way, a gaming rug pull. You had this full custom tailored experience full of VO and voiceover work, and it was just amazing. From 1 to 20, you leave the starting zone that you saw during the demo, right? During the trial, and then it's just this giant, generic, unfinished MMO that has insanely bad gameplay design for the rest of the game. And was long and tedious. I didn't even get to max level in the game because it was so bad. I will never trust Funcom since then. And Exiles was the same way, right? Exiles was like the exact same experience. No, I have a long history with Funcom. Fuck Funcom. Granted, I will say, Age of Conan was like 20 years ago, so they've had a lot of time to grow since then, but like, institutionalized corporations have a lot of issues changing over time. When new people come into corporations like that, they mold themselves to the corporation, not vice versa. No, Conan Exiles, yeah, like, when I saw Funcom was making the Dune MMO, or the Dune, whatever the fuck you want to call it, hesitant as shit, and them delaying it now, not surprising at all. This is bog standard Funcom. Let's do Stairway. Like, at this point, Funcom, you would get more goodwill to me if you just called all of your games early access. So, wait, hold on. No. What did I... Wrong thing. Reconox, you're thinking about Conan Exiles. I'm referring to Age of Conan. So Conan Exiles is what you're referring to. Conan Exiles was an Arc MMO, or sorry, an Arc game, but in Conan themed. Age of Conan was a MMO, basically. It's just so very unfortunate. Because, like, for that first 20 levels of the game, too, it was fantastic. And then it just rug pulled you. I cannot stress how stark the rug pull was. It's... Imagine in a game if you just played, like, the first 20 levels of it out of 80. And naturally, right, it's gonna get slower as you go on. But, like, the first 20 levels are one game, and then, like, a quarter into the game, it just changes the game entirely of what you're playing. It's so crazy. All right, let's get off the Conan rant before I go crazy. Oh, you're good. No, you're only old folks would probably know about Conan, Age of Conan. Here's the thing.
No,
I will always hold out hope that people will learn from their bad ways, but time and time again I get disappointed. If Dune is a good game, if it looks like a good game, I'll try it and probably play it. I do not have high hopes for it. I am willing to be surprised though. Man, the other MMO too, I will say that I was really like, I really liked WildStar. Learning, there's a guy who does YouTube videos basically, right? Who did a lot of work on WildStar. He talks about the failures of WildStar too. WildStar apparently was just hampered at launch, right? They didn't have enough time to make it. They came out like with the actual game itself very late into the cycle. Essentially, it was just mismanaged. The suits did not do their job. I need to give Beyond All Reason another try though too. I tried it for a very brief window and it was really rough, but like it seems to be popping off right now. I've always been looking for like a subcom clone. That's basically what it is. Yeah, Flavius, their whole like shtick too of doing like generic MMO has never stuck well with me since then. Like Secret World looked really interesting, but like I saw Funcom and stayed away. And I think for all purposes, it was just generic MMO, but with like, you know, Lovecrafty and tackled onto it. And like that's my always. That's why I like early access games, because I like them exploring novel concepts in regards to gameplay design, right?
Nothing to be done.
I don't want just merely an aesthetics, like I don't want just a skin pack for an extraction shooter. I want to have like a game where the actual mechanics of the game are fitting or bespoke to the vibe of the game. I did play Fallen Earth very briefly. I never got far in it because holy shit was that game rough. Like they had me at post-apocalypse MMO, but like it was a game I could never get fully into because it was just so rough. If you're referring to, well, usually like, it's hard, right? Just because you like, yeah, gameplay over graphic, but also like, I don't know. I can't personally play Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress sounds really cool, but every time I try to get into it, I'm just like, I just can't. I just can't. In a way, it kind of was, right? Like, actually, I didn't ever consider it as one tank, but now that you mention it, yeah, kind of in a way it was. Now, keep in mind, I did not play, I played Warframe at the very beginning from like the early alphas and betas. I haven't played a whole lot since like, I would say the early 2010s. But like, yeah, I would classify that early period of Warframe, right, as an extraction shooter. You would load into a level, go do some stuff, and then leave. So in a way, yeah, it was a PvE extraction shooter. Now, I will say extraction shooters usually carry the tension of like punishing for when you die. Warframe never really had that feature set onto it. But like it in a way, like if your idea was small, short, contained levels, yeah, extraction shooter it was. And it like, and in a way, like Warframe has been able to scale pretty well for that reason too, right? I don't need to time sink that badly, the tank. For all its upsides, Warframe is still a game where it's a time sink game. If you have burgeoning amounts of free time, Warframe is a great game to play. Choppa. It is ascending. Please, I beg of you. I know it would take so much time. And that wasn't bad, but man, the movement on the choppers, man. fucking killing me. I get it. You would not get a lot of bang for your buck. It would take a lot of work. If you want to ever have more aerial units in the game, I think the groundwork needs to be done. It's so bad. It's like the horse, right? Whenever you see like a horse, like it's the meme of the horse being drawn, where the horse is drawn really well at the back, and then as you get to the front, it just gets worse and worse. That's what the chopper feels like, right? You have like the mech combat, the vehicles at the very, very back, and you get to the front, and it's just the fucking flying units. No. ST, get that shit out of here. You know that's not possible in a game like this. Do you want to get griefed and cheated? Chopper, I'm sorry I talked shit. Please forgive me. Oh, never mind, we're good. Mech killed it. Thank you, Mr. Mech. Yeah, like, no, they're... We are like, if this game does well, I honestly, I don't even see the need, like, in this current day and age, if I had infinite money, if I was a suit at a game development company and I had infinite money, I would still not tell them to do PvP in their game. It is an unwinnable battle. If your game, like, because here's the thing, right? If your game is successful, right? It's the worst possible thing, right? As your game does better and better, the more cheaters and attention you attract, right? And it's like, it's this negative feedback loop almost in a way, right? If you do really well, the more cheaters come to your game and drive the more honest players away if you lean into gameplay mechanics that have to have those players interact with those cheaters. And all in all, like, right, if you are playing an experience for and of yourself, by yourself, cheat all you want. It's only when the game itself has those cheaters interact with other players through any means does it become an issue. I'm all for, if you are playing a game by yourself, do what the fuck you want with it. It's your game to do, right? But when you cheating in a game starts affecting other players and their experiences, it's an issue. And considering live service, multiplayer, if you're gonna have that at anywhere in your game, your cheating is gonna pop up. And until there's a huge, massive leap in anti-cheat technology, it's a losing proposition. What quest do we want to do now? What map? We haven't done Scrapyard in a bit. We haven't done Frozen Swamp in a while either. Well, you have to catch the cheaters though, right, Michael? And remember, like, the problem is cheating is a for-profit business now. Much like gambling, right? So like gambling is like, for much the same reason gambling shouldn't be advertised, the same thing with cheating, right? Like, because there are for-profit cheating businesses now, people are now being marketed cheats. And so when you're offered the solution in front of you, you're more likely to, I mean, companies wouldn't use ads if they didn't work. So they work because they're used because they do work. It comes on this unicorn, right? Like, if if you are affecting any other player in a game, you shouldn't be cheating or botting or anything, right? If it negatively impacts another player in the game that's not part of the intended gameplay loop, yeah, no. Like, that's always been a big thing in regards to, like, it's impossible to balance an economy in an MMO when you have botting, right? Because you kind of, like, either you balance around people botting or you balance around people don't botting. It's hard to do both. It's almost impossible to do both, right? Hey, Blaze. And naturally, because you can't really solve botting, you know, the economies are always going to be kind of based around botting economies, right? There's always this trend too, when you start banning bots, you always see the price of commodities go up, because they're usually the ones doing the more mundane tasks in MMOs. I need a few drills. All right, we have scav scrap, heist, clear skies. I mean, technically... Well, actually, so the XM25 has about as slow as reload now as the grenade launcher, so 2 extra rounds. I didn't bring any extra ammo for it, though. It was more of just like, I don't really use my offhand all that much. So it was more like just lack of thought, Helio, as opposed to purpose. And that's the glory of, like, offline too, Ram. Like, if they actually do full progression in this game, like, yeah, mod it up all you want and change it how you see fit, right? It's just always the issue, right, when you have, like, for a game like Tarkov, right? They're supposed to care about the economy of the game because it impacts everyone in progression. There we go.
Fill those pockets quick.
That's like every grenade launcher in a nutshell, right? 50-50 chance of actually doing its splash damage. It's always fun. How do like testing grenades work, but the grenade launchers don't? It's crazy. No, but it's definitely like an important distinction, I guess, for these two games, right? Or this game, right? Is it leaning more on co-op optional or co-op dependent, right? Because there's definitely considerations for both that need to be taken into account, right? I kind of feel like without anti-cheat, you kind of have to lean into the co-op optional aspect. Like, the Railgun's cool and all, but I think they do need to provide solutions for people to not require a group to use. Maybe not the Railgun itself, but like ways of dealing with like super heavies. Like, they did mention in Q&As how their first iteration was going to be this, like a group solution to super, like, you know, mother courages and stuff like this. So I have no issue with it entirely, but like, it definitely leans more into that co-op, not optional aspect, right? I guess if they lean into mothers and stuff like that, only having like lore pages as content or drops, that's one thing. But if they ever tie like special loot that's needed to be acquired for certain things behind them, I think there's definitely a tension in regards to like the co-op aspect, right? Is there nothing in here? Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of it either. I kind of wished Helio, with the no HUD mode, it would turn that off.
I can't do calculations.
I mean, Captain, I don't think they care, Captain, too, right? In regards to, like, yeah, as long as they get their parts back. It's literally what mothers are, right? Or just recyclers, too. They generally give, like, less than zero shits, it feels like, about cyborgs. It's more about the parts anyway. They can I actually do want to see, man. I want to see Mother Courage as, like, a technomancer. Where she can, like, reconstruct things out of, like, dead cyborgs. Imagine if you just see, like, Mother Courage grab a bunch of cyborgs, ball them up into a ball, do some tech wizardry, and now you have, like, a giant, like, death ball of cyborg parts. Or, like, you can almost, like, lean into, like, technological body horror, too. Imagine if Mother Courage, like, sewed two cyborgs together at the hips. So, like, you know you have, like, the damaged cyborgs that are, like, half pieces? Just like if she like sewed them together into like one whole creature. Two torsos, no legs. Yeah, that's kind of like my point too, Michael, in regards to something I said earlier too, in regards to the railgun's fine for now. I'm hoping the boss mechanics, or like they have more nuance to them. They're a bit more complex than that, than just make big gun, shoot big gum. Win fight. That makes it more on brand, right, 2KMS? It's very on brand for Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, it is very the Forest Est, for sure. Just with less flesh and more tech. Really? There's a hole there? Is this a skill check that I just failed twice? Alright, let's try to the right this time. Oh, there we go. Probably from all the metal in the water. Trees love metal. All hail Rat King. All I'm saying is Rat King's definitely a false prophet. What has Rat King ever done for you guys? Alright, there's the spawn. Exactly. He's, all Rat King ever does is hurt you. You actually want to fight? That's unprecedented for Rat King. I've only seen Rat King take L's. Well, I wouldn't say he gave me his codex. But I'm still waiting for a video or just a screenshot of Rat King doing anything for you. Oh yeah, definitely. Rat King, going back to the cyborgs, yeah, like they give like, for the fodder cyborgs, they give less than 0 shits. They're like literally just like, we can't give you parachutes, we're just gonna drop you out of the sky. What, this? You don't like the ghosting? Wee. Is this better? A little pip sight? Though I'm gonna lie, it feels wrong to be aiming a grenade launcher this way, but I digress. Why? What's with the explosion damage? Why would I pray to a false god? Why, Michael? Why would I pray to a false god? Wait, what? Wait. Huh? What? I mean, this certainly wasn't from praying, because we don't do that around here.
What they reported then, it's raining bullets.
There should be at least like 2 more around here. Now, where they are is definitely a good question to ask, but... Yeah, I genuinely was like, the damage delayed? Is there like a certain point where the Exo will die if at a, like, is there dots in the game? Is there a dot? Damage over time? I'm confused. Also, for those, Type 10, you know, little small. Type 10, much more appropriately sized. Can you see that? Should I go back? Can you see the difference? Also, media mech proper. There's whoever. The size of things makes me so upset. Now I will say it's there can be lore considerations on the size of things, right? Like you can have like these small mini tanks exist in the setting and be okay. It just needs to be said why these small mini tanks exist, right? Maybe they're drone tanks, maybe they've been changed. Like, it's perfectly fine. It's just when you have the different sizes, it's like, okay, but which is it? Because like does factory A produce at one size and factory B produce at one size? If that's the case, it's fine. I would just like to, you know. They haven't grown up yet, yeah. They need more meals. Yeah, at this point, the flying tanks are canon. The flying tanks are actually by design. Yeah, and so I have sizing concerns, right? But like they can still work in the aesthetic. It just needs to be kind of said out loud, I feel like. But there's a few, right? There's that spider tank for Europa that's not in the game yet that looks really cool. It's like this giant four-legged walker that's like pretty like thin and nimbly. No, so this is a reference to a previous stream. You know what I really want though? I want the unit we talked about a week ago. So the way I thought about it, right, is that it feels like it should have almost like an ape-like body, like a pig sort of head, and it should be like almost like this fabricator of sorts, right? And a few of you might be lost right now, but what I'm referring to is the counterpart to Mother. And I have some concepts too. Hold on, let me pull up my notes. I definitely had some notes on this. Okay, so this was my notes, by the way. So for context, we were talking about kind of like the Euruscan counterpart to Mother Courage. Yeah, John Pork. So this is my notes, my baseline notes I took on it, right? Large creature with the posture of a great ape, the eyes of a Euruscan medium mech, so bug-like, and jaws and maws of a meat grinder, which it uses to ingest food. A bulbous stomach that seems to ooze and has a viscous liquid. Areas still open like legs, arm customization. Carries something along the line of like a refinery on its back. So it would kind of, yeah, it would be like a refining unit. So it would ingest kind of, it would ingest meat or ingest like, it would recycle essentially flesh, right? It's a biological recycler. So like Mother Courage is a tech recycler, right? So Father Courage or this creature, I had it referred to as Saint Maul, but that's naturally subject to change. It would ingest flesh or basically biomass and repurpose it into usually like fuel, right? It's basically like a mobile fuel refinery. We were kind of talking about it like we have Mother Courage, Jamie, we have Mom, but we don't have Dad yet. And so in a way, it was a way of making Dad. And so because Mother Courage is like a tech recycler, logistical unit, Father Courage, or in this case, you know, Saint Maul would be kind of like a biological recycler for Euraska. And like Eurasia is more like Mother Courage is more Eurasian, this would be more Euruscan. And so you would kind of have like this slash biological like kind of robust creature that's in like the form of Euraska with the armored carapace, and it would honestly be like this giant like ape-like creature, but it would have a pig's head. It's almost in a way like a chimera, right? And Duffs, it would have it's Saint Maul and his war pigs, or Saint Maul and his pigs of war, and you would have it's like he would actually have like basically soldiers that were wearing these pig masks that would feed him, like, or pig cultists, right, that would feed him food or bring him bodies or bring him biomass. And he's essentially a biomass recycler, right? He would come around and say to areas like this, scoop this up and like convert this into biological fuel. Ram, Mother Courage is canonically a Euruscan unit that's been kind of gifted to Eurasia. It is a melding between the two, essentially. When you flag it in game, it says Eurasia, but it's basically it's combined arms effort between the two factions. But no, you basically would have this giant, like, you know, Harambe, ape that would essentially go around and like consume biomass and recycle it, right? And it would make for some pretty sick screens too, of like recycling people. Like, imagine getting picked up, slammed into the ground a few times, and being like essentially consumed by this creature with like a meat grinder for a mouth. And as opposed to like Toothy too, right? Toothy's a medevac unit. Like, in essence, this is once again a logistical creature, right? It is it's a mobile fuel refinery. And like, think its back would be this giant kind of almost like smokestacks and like industrialization on its back, as opposed to just like muscle like an ape would have. It would actually have like smokestacks and like refinery sounds on its back.
I've been waiting for this.
Your Marja? Why does it still have EU in it? Oh, is this the wrong? This might be the wrong thing.
Gotta hold on to this for safekeeping.
This might be the spare part for the mech and not for. Wait, is this? Yeah, for the industrial grinder. Why are you broken? Hold on, let me see the HUD. Why you no work? I have meat grinder part. Okay, there it goes. I guess I wanted the first one.
I've been waiting for this.
In regards to ST's question, it wouldn't be a much bigger Toothy, really. Toothy's, remember, is a medevac unit, really, that goes rogue, and it does provide fuel for itself. This would be more of like... So Toothy eats to fuel himself to stay alive. Essentially, Toothy is self-sufficient. This is more of a creature that acts as a mobile fuel refinery. So its purpose is actually to produce this fuel to supply units who cannot natively make it themselves. So essentially, like, you would have the industrial, like, kind of like, it would be the posture and size of an ape, a great ape, right? It would have like a pig's head along with the maws of like a meat grinder. It would have, remember, its stomach, it wouldn't have like a muscular stomach. It would have basically this giant bulbous stomach, almost like a frog, that would kind of like have this kind of pustulant slash like grotesque nature of like containing this very viscous fluid, because it eats, Andrew. It eats people, and if you're familiar with pigs, pigs eat people, or can eat people. And then you would have upon its back this kind of refinery, right, of like industry, and in a way it would feel kind of like this, it literally a fuel truck almost. Wait, I still need the mech part too before I actually do this. Pigs can eat anything, so like, yeah, it's like the pig head's mainly for just showing off that like this is all consuming, right? It will literally eat anything biological.
I've been waiting for this.
I think 2 years for sure. Like, I kind of treat this game as Subnautica, right? Like 2 to 3 years until release. I mean, pigs natively are... Wait, actually, you say pigs aren't scary. Are you familiar with hogs? Like actual, like, wild hogs? Like, wild male hogs? Like, yeah, your farm pig isn't scary, but, go run into a boar. Alright, where's the mech part here? And you can add like horns to it too, right? Where you can like, it would be a pig head with horn along with a meat grinder head. So like it can gore you, it can eat you. Oh god. Oh god. Fucking HK is bad. Fucking HK is aggroing literally everyone. I hate that mechanic so much. Yeah. It's just the fact that they spawn around corners. It's... From the time you summon HKs to the time they appear, it's literally just like turns a corner and like, or spawns around a corner and aggroes everyone. Like if they actually took some time to deploy, it's one thing, right? Yeah, I mean like, it's just the HK mechanic being bad too, KMS. It's just so gamey. I don't mind HKs as a concept, but how they deploy to the maps just feels weird. It pays off too in regards to like being related to Africa, Andrew. Pigs are insanely... There is a, like, remember, Game of Thrones, I like, you know, it's just a novella. People, you can get gored by a wild hog and die. It is incredible. Like, pigs are fucking fierce. They're wild. I mean, hippos are naturally scarier, right? But like, hippos are also aquatic creatures. No, but like wild pigs are so jacked up on hormones that their meat is basically inedible. Like, you essentially, like, wild pig meat is essentially rancid. Male wild pigs, their meat is fairly inedible. Now, if they were like, if they're domestic pigs gone wild, it's a different story. But if they're like actually like fully feral pigs, I don't need meds. Did you eat male wild boar or just female wild boar? Did you eat them, like, if you eat them young enough too, it's when they reach male maturity. How do you cook it, Michael? How do you cook it, Michael?
Unit 7 and 6 reporting clear skies.
Do you get to the point where like nothing remains inside? It's just like basically like tasteless meat, protein, gamey protein. I've always heard the anecdote that basically male boar meat is inedible. I guess it's maybe different between like, are you referring to your European hogs? I've always heard that like the wild hogs in Georgia you cannot eat. Georgia, the Georgia being the country in the state in America, not Georgia the country. Important distinction for the European folks. Interesting, I'll have to look that up again. I've always heard that like the meat of wild hogs, like there's a reason why, like, for example, you just go gun them down in the hordes and don't bother with the corpses, because they're inedible. Oh yeah, I was holding it, yeah. Am I dry? I'm dry. Requin, so what, are you in America or are you in Europe? Don't worry, should them quite interesting. I'll have to look around things, I'm curious then. I've always heard that wild hog in America is unedible, basically. Or at least male wild hog, because I was always told that the hormones get like real fucked up. Actually, I can probably just... I have an idea. Very carefully and long. I mean, at that point, like, right, carefully and long makes mostly everything edible. Explosive? A little sneaky there. I didn't even see you there for a second. This is by the way like peak 50 cal. You miss grenades? Yeah, grenades are fun. I do hope we get grenades that actually are like throwable and not just a trajectory. Nah, but like this is like the good reason to use the SCAR in game, right? Am I hitting the wall here? There we go. What is this? Railing is cursed. The grenades were buggy. Like, you would blow yourself up a lot with the grenades too. So the grenades didn't have they didn't animation lock you, and so if you ever broke your animation with a grenade, the next grenade you would throw would basically blow up in your face. So they were insanely buggy. If you were very careful with them, you could abuse them. But like, if you ever like shot while throwing a grenade, the next one you would throw would blow up in your face. And it was weird too, we were playing multiplayer with it, and I bugged out the animation, and it seemed like everyone got the bug after I bugged it out. And like, I think it was the grenade. Hold on, let me not be here. I'm sorry. Like, everyone got the bug after I did it. It was really weird. Oh no, they're definitely like a... I like grenades a lot more. They can, with grenades being a thing, they can make the rarity of the grenade launcher a lot higher. I mean, naturally, we're very far out from like an economy rework or like a balancing, but like a lot of the guns need to be pretty rare, I feel like, and grenades are a good way of providing functionality without like losing the gun or losing, you know, big damage. No, it's not a suppressor. It's just, it might be an integral suppressor, but like, it doesn't work currently as one. In a way, honestly, so it's a little bit ludicrous, right? You can definitely view this as, I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? You could view this barrel, they're not. So okay, here's the thing. Let's get back real quickly.
Safe and sound.
So we can go over this real quick. All right, so if we go over to SMGs, right, where's the vector at? So this vector that's really easy to think that this is a suppressed barrel that's not working. Apparently, this is an aftermarket. So, for those unfamiliar with American gun law, when you have a short barrel rifle or SMG, it's a different classification as a long barrel one. And so when you're marketing guns in America, they will usually create longer barrels for guns like this, so they meet ATF requirements. Now, long barrels look a little weird sometimes. If you want, go look up the P90 civilian version. It's got a long 16-inch barrel. And to counteract that, the people who make the Vector still have that long barrel, but they added a barrel shroud to make it look cool. So, in a way, it looks like a suppressor. It could function like one, but it could just be a cool barrel shroud too. Now, with that in mind, going over to the Scar. So, on the same note, this could be a suppressed barrel, 100%. I am playing devil's advocate here. On one note too, this is a 50 cal rifle, which A, is hard to suppress, but B, has a lot of heat behind it, right? Like, the 50 cal barrels for Brownings are pretty fucking thick to help absorb the heat of shooting the gun, right? And in a way, you could maybe view the chunkiness of the barrel in that regard. So it's a really fucking heavy barrel, not to necessarily be silenced, but to help absorb the heat of the 50 cal round. And this is just like, it could be either way, right? It really depends on the way you want to construe it. It looks much more like a silencer than like a heavy barrel, but you could view it in that light, I feel like. Otherwise, you can like go to barrels like this too. Got a big barrel, thick boy barrel. See, Helio. I have seen Beta Decay. I played the early access version of it. It is super rough, or rather, it's rough in the sense that it's like alpha gameplay. It's like genuine alpha gameplay. There's not a lot of content to it, and it was all like testing areas, not an actual overall system. So it was rough by design. It's really cool and promising. It's by one developer, so that's always gonna, like, you know, keep kind of, it's gonna keep the scope constrained, but it's gonna look, it's gonna have a clear vision behind it too, right? When you have a sole developer like that, like, you know, the only one in charge, it's always gonna have that kind of artistic vision behind it, for better or for worse. All right. Wood RPK? Wood RPK. Yeah, to my knowledge, Beta Decay is just a sole developer. It's the one guy in the Discord. What's it? Whatever his name is. He talks occasionally in it, but like, yeah, it's just him alone. And it makes sense too, right? Considering the graphical style, it's like partially PS1 aesthetics, but also partially by design. Like, you can't have high poly models and be a sole developer. It's like, there's only so much stuff you can do. I mean, you could, right? But like, it takes you more time to make each model and each texture. So PS1 graphics do a lot in that regard. What map have we played recently? Let's do a Mesa. Alright, we have our 2 quests. Requin, I know it's a little, referring to something you posted a long time ago. We do have a few edible things in America, and they're all corn-based. The great American crop, corn. Lots and lots of corn. So very much corn.
Bad luck today.
Corn is eternal. Corn and jerky, yep. And it's surprising once you you look at corn, how much gets made out of corn. So very much. Funnily enough, you can turn corn into oil too. You can turn corn into syrup. You can do so much with corn. We figured it all out. I will say though, grits go real fucking hard. I mean, that's literally what corn syrup is. It's literally corn sugar, essentially. Yeah, it's a sweetener in corn form. Oops, all corn. Apparently, I have heard anecdotally that, like, the whole, like, American, like, casual dining experience has gone, like, it's getting a lot smaller now. Doesn't have the same support as it used to. Denny's, by the way, for those unfamiliar, like, those Europeans, it's like a very generic chain in America, but, like, it's not like a fast food joint, it's a sit-down joint, but, like, it's a very casual sort of joint, right? Just serving pretty bog standard food. It's sort of like, for example, if America had inns or taverns like you guys do over in Europe. It's like that on a corporate scale, essentially. It's essentially where you want to go for a meal that's not fancy, but just to fill your gullet and be fine to sit down for a bit. And not to be junk food, right? Like, it still can be junk food if you order it, but, like, for the most part, you get some decent options there too. It's not fine dining. Yeah, bistros, like, it could be considered bistros too. Like, taverns and inns are usually a little bit higher quality than you'd say Denny's, right? Revolver and surplus shotgun? Ugh. I'd probably only use the revolver. Where's everyone at? Is this place empty? This place is never empty. So whenever when I heal Mr. Nooks, I need to sit in a corner for 5 years. Got it. Oh no, like Waffle House is like very peak American, like you're drunk and need a meal at like 1 a.m. vibe. Waffle House is great. That's like, I visited Europe a few times. It's always rough in Europe when you have to realize that things actually close. It's nice. It's nice because like actually having hours like for quiet time is nice, because sometimes American can be all gas, no break. But you always do get sometimes occasionally sad where like it's 1 a.m. I want a meal and I don't want to cook, and everything's closed. I mean, comparing certain elements, yeah, in a way, like, when I did compare them, I'm not saying they're the same. Taverns definitely are a lot higher quality than that of Denny's, but in a way, like, America doesn't have taverns, right? Like, or inns, like Europe does, like those like mom and pop areas that actually do, like, home-cooked meals for strangers. It's Denny's is like the corporate version of that, right? Or like you can not just like Denny's, but like Chile's. Like you can name a lot, like Applebee's. There's lots of like spaces in America that are like kind of casual eating places that fulfill the role that those do in Europe because they don't exist here. Yeah, casual sit down, like a one step up from basically fast food. Taverns are cool. If we had taverns here, I'd fuck with them all the time, but we don't. So. And naturally, because it's also partially because we're all car-based, right?
there's nothing really in walking distance. If we want to go to someplace, we have to like, you know, get in a car and go to a strip mall or go to like an area like that. An area zoned to have those. I mean, there's privately owned places, but with like, when there's always this thing in America where things get turned into corporations, right? Like they get essentially swallowed up by bigger companies. There's plenty of mom and pop stuff around, but like, yeah, like for all the bad things too, there is a degree of quality control also, and there's safety in that. So for example,
Gotta hold on to this. For
there's an aspect of America too, right, where you kind of know what you're getting because the quality control, despite like the overall quality of Denny's, right, you wouldn't say is like amazing. It's fine food, but it's not amazing. But you can like say go to a Denny's in, let's say, New York, and go to a Denny's in California, and the experience would be very similar, if not the same. There's always going to be a little bit of differences here and there, but there is the safety in knowing what you're going to get, right? The quality you're going to receive. And so, for example, like if you're trying to choose a place that's going to be good for a large group of people, or say your entire family, there's safety in, like, this mom and pop shop sounds really cool, right? But I know my 5-year-old kid likes the cheese sticks from Denny's. So there's safety in that. And partially becomes too, right? Like, for example, your taverns in Europe, right? They're usually in like walking distance or close by. You might know the owners, you might know the people who own it, you know what they serve, right? And so there's a degree of familiarity. When you're driving around in America, right? You don't really, like, you see a mom and pop shop, right? But you don't know the people there, you don't know the food there, you don't know like the clientele there. So it's a lot more foreign than, say, a Denny's. And when you get to more urban areas, like, say, for example, like, you know, there's urban areas in Colorado, right? Because a lot of it's desolate. You might have that culture again, right? Where, you know, you might know the mom and pop shops here and there. All right. That's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again on Wednesday. I'm working on, like, the ideas and scripts for new videos, but it's going to be a while. I'm working on a few other things right now, too, for IRL stuff. So it might be a bit for the next video, but we'll see. Take it easy. I'll see you guys next week or this Wednesday. Community stream this Friday, hopefully using the Railgun. If you want to be in the stream, get some Railgun parts for Friday. It'll be open. Take it easy, everyone. See ya. Bye.